Call the roll, please.
Trustee Lawrence.
Here.
Trustee Lawler.
Here.
Trustee Leafblad. Trustee Healy.
Here.
Trustee Katsinas.
Here.
Trustee Malani.
Here.
Mayor Dodge.
Here.
Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just Trustee Leafblad's running a couple minutes late, so.
Go ahead.
You first.
Non-scheduled citizens and visitors for agenda-specific public comment. Nobody's here. Okay, moving on to the FY 2026 budget workshop.
Okay, I guess we'll wait for George to come back. I told Joanna that it might be about a, 140-page PowerPoint presentation? So she was rushing to get here for every page. Only 140 pages. So, and then there's a budget book at some point to be produced by all that. But yeah, George, we're just kind of, getting going. And I just, as we kind of dive into this, we'll turn it over to staff. It's their presentation, but just a couple of quick comments. I think we've talked about this broadly before, but I think this budget was largely about expanding the police department and investing in public safety. As you've seen from some of the early documents, the projected taxes are held steady. A lot of the critical capital projects are going to keep moving forward. A number of us have chatted about, let's think about ways we can reduce the increase in future debt if we can, given everything that we want to accomplish. I'm thrilled that we've got some progress with, I'll call it broadly, technology investments, rebuild of the website, et cetera. And then you'll see as we get into the details, there's a number of projects that are funded and layered in here so we can get deep on what I'll call elements of the strategic plan, the rate studies, the organizational assessment, and other ways to get citizen input. And some of those are, what's our plan for CPW going forward? What's the potential for any kind of other additional rec facilities? Can we go after a performing arts center? So we're going to do those assessments and summaries down the road here. But also, I think every time I talk to George, I bring up, and how are you going to find process efficiencies? Because you can't keep doing things the way you always have without trying to cut costs. So that's a big part of it. But just broadly, and maybe if the trustees want to do this, somebody asked me the other day, what keeps you awake at night? And I said, when it comes to Orland, it's too big risk to the budget. One, I think that you can make a strong case that the economic performance right now is kind of uneven. There's many parts of the economy that are just taking the cover off the ball and doing really well, but there's plenty of other signs in the economic data about stresses for businesses and some customers. So I think that's an issue. And then we all know how dependent we are on sales tax here. And then, for lack of a better word, and Trustee Malani, maybe you want to jump in on this one if you agree, I think there will be substantive disruption in the U.S. economy and global economies from AI. I just think that we're going to potentially see years before things resettle with things related to AI in terms of disrupting the job market, and then that will immediately impact sales tax. It's going to then impact income tax and would affect property taxes. Or it could be great, right? It could be an age of abundance and all things wonderful in terms of all this. So as we go through this pathway, I think staff has generally done a pretty good job of putting together a budget document, which is a policy discussion. It's what we want this village to do and be. But there's constraints, and some of the things we have to operate under or pay attention to don't have anything to do with what we do. They're macroeconomic facts. I don't know, Mike, if you would agree with that, or especially on the AI piece.
Well, I think, some of the predictions, I think, sometimes sound like science fiction when we talk about them, but, we know how technology moves. So, looking at it, we need to take precautions. We need to make sure that, we analyze things appropriately, especially with leveraging AI. I think a lot of people look at it as we're going to replace jobs. We should look at it as how do we augment jobs, because I think that's
change jobs.
Right. Change, make workflows more efficient, make processes more efficient, enable people to do higher level work and free them up to do higher level work instead of remedial tasks, right? I think that's that's where you'll see the biggest efficiencies, especially probably over the next 5 years or so.
Thank you, Trustee Malani. Before we jump in, is there any other high-level comments or quick comments the board wants to make? Otherwise, George has got, what, 140 pages?
Yeah, we'll be out of here by around midnight, so.
Sir, open up, just quickly, open it up to the floor for any other quick comments before we dive in. Are we ready to go? All right. Take it away, George.
Before we begin our presentations, I want to first take this opportunity to thank the incredible staff for helping put together this year's proposed budget. Despite challenges, including inflation, the proposed budget continues the village's commitment for public safety, continues investment for infrastructures, and within the parameters of the village's financial policies. As far as this balanced budget incorporates a 40% fund balance. So we're able to do all of this while maintaining a 40% fund balance. So the main budget theme this year is investment in public safety. When we started this FY26 budget process, Mayor Dodge made clear that this is our theme. The safety enhancements in our budget include using technology for surveillance, faster response times, implementing community-led programs, and focusing on officer well-being and mental health. Our enhancements also involve improving police-community relations and creating a stable environment. The main element here is a total of 8 new sworn police personnel is what's in our proposed budget. So for many years, police command has requested increased staffing to match the increased call volumes. And as part of this budget, we're able to deliver on that. That includes 5 patrol officers, 1 new sergeant, 1 lieutenant, and 1 public information officer. The police budget also includes a new FOIA clerk. This would be, and Chief will go into this a little more, but we have a lot of body camera FOIA requests.
Mr. Chairman, just really quick, do we want to ask questions as we go through this, or are there going to be points in time where we're going to?
Yeah, no, Trustee Malani, I'd rather keep it pretty, if by agreement, right, let's keep it pretty informal. We'll try and keep an eye on the ebb and flow of the conversation, because I had a question come to mind on this one too, so if you had a question, go for it.
Yeah, and I know we're going to get into the details of this, so should maybe just save my question.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure we kind of set the tone for the rest of the evening, so we're not
No, I think let's keep it pretty
waiting
informal.
patiently to ask our questions, and we may never get a chance to.
No, that could have been their plan.
Yeah, if we talk fast enough, then you wouldn't be able to fit in a question.
Why don't we just kind of, George, to pick up on Trustee Malani's idea, let's get through your opening section and let's put some ideas on the floor, and then we could just, we'll let staff go through their presentation for their section, and we'll hit them with the really hard questions.
I also mentioned officer well-being and a stable work environment. As the board is aware, at the upcoming village board meeting, we will have a memorandum of agreement that's going to be proposed that has been ratified by the MAP. MAP represents the patrol officers, OPPSA represents the supervisors, and some changes to our meet and confer agreement that represents our deputy chief and commanders. And we're going to be implementing a 12-hour shift schedule beginning February 1st, 2026. A lot of benefits to this shift schedule. We know that this is something that the patrol officers have been asking for a very long time. As a matter of fact, the ratification vote was 94% for this change. It's one other thing that is part of this agreement is an increase in traffic stops that our police department will be doing.
You made the assertion was that there was a lot more, there have been increased, we need to increase, yeah, because of increased call volumes.
Yes.
Do we have any details on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know you don't have them up your sleeve or anything, but.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
we'll
I'd like, it'd be nice to say, there's the fact that that's, that's.
Sure. So over the course of the last 20 years, which is the last time that there has been an increase in staffing in police, there's been a very high increase in call volume. We include that every year in the police annual report, all the call volume information, and we will definitely get that to you and the rest of the board.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Like I said, the main budget theme continues to be the investment in public safety. So this budget includes a service delivery review. This is going to be a fact-based, long-range planning process that's going to help us do a comprehensive overview of the services that we provide to the residents. It'll give us a snapshot, it'll give us an idea of where we stand as far as our organizational structure and what improvements can be made to that. That's not just going to be in police, that'll be in organizational wide as well, but police is an important element. Jumping on the AI theme here, we're going to be looking at how do we incorporate AI and data analytics to enhance predictive policing, so to move away from reactive to a more proactive approach. One of those things will be the traffic stops that we talked about. This year, the police have, for the past 3 years, or 2 years probably, police have been doing assessment centers for promotions. Those assessment centers included internal staff. Starting this year, and the chief already has started that, the village has contracted with the Illinois Chiefs of Police to have a third party come in and manage our assessment centers. Those are for any promotion beyond the rank of sergeant. The sergeants and patrol officers have their own process, and this has turned out to be a very good process, and we're going to continue to do that, and we've included money in the budget for that. Interagency cooperation will be, the police are going to be working on rebuilding relationships. I mentioned a new sworn position is going to be a public information officer. This is a very important role that many departments throughout the state have, especially a department our size. Chief will highlight the technology enhancements, specifically the drones as a first responders program. It's a very exciting tool that our police is going to be incorporating. Crime prevention is going to be an increased role in that. We talked about the traffic stops, but we're also going to be undertaking a review of increasing penalties for quality of life violations, noise violations, code enforcement, and the like. There's additional resources for ESDA as part of our disaster preparedness, and then mental health. There is a program that we're going to be recommending, Care Solace. It's a mental health resource that would be available to all residents, and it would be funded through our opioid settlement proceeds. The last couple of years, there have been a number of opioid settlements. Municipalities have been receiving proceeds from that, as have we, and we would use that to help with those mental health resources. And then at the next Committee of the Whole meeting, we're planning on introducing Holly, our new therapy dog that comes via the Cook County's Tales for Redemption program. With the 12-hour shifts, and the chief will talk about this, we plan on having the therapy dog assigned to a patrol officer, will be on the streets on alternating shifts. So that's a very exciting program. The other major budget theme is data-driven, fact-based studies. So I already talked a little bit about the service delivery review. That'll be coming to the board. Probably, we've already opened the RFPs. We have some very good proposals, and so we're looking forward to that. As part of that RFP, we also plan on proposing a user fee study, take a holistic review of all of our user fees, make sure they match the funding appropriate levels that the board so chooses. We've already talked about the comprehensive land use plan that we're going to be starting in earnest with the sub-area plan RFP that's out on the streets right now. Something that the board has asked for was a Centennial Park West strategic operating plan. As has been mentioned, there wasn't a business plan as part of the development of the CPW. So in order to assist in deciding the future of CPW, we'd undergo the strategic operating plan RFP. The other study is going to be a performing arts center feasibility study. And this would be to kind of put together a feasibility study for a potential performing arts center in the village. The athletic fields strategic operating plan would be to better study the long-term vision for all of the village's athletic fields and detail the day-to-day actions that would need to achieve that vision. And then finally, a Eastern Field House feasibility study. This would be a recreational field house on the east side of town. So that would be something that we would be looking at during FY26. So there are a number of personnel additions and adjustments. This is just kind of a spreadsheet overview of the adjustments and the new personnel. And just kind of a high-level summary. So I already talked about the 8 new sworn police personnel. That's 5 patrol officers, a sergeant, a lieutenant, and 1 public information officer. And the police budget also includes a new FOIA clerk to handle the increased FOIA work. We're proposing to increase the community service officers and the number of community service officer and detention aides. Not only is it a great recruiting tool for future police officers, but they provide very valuable services. So we're looking to increase the headcount for these part-time positions. In Public Works, we're looking to create a concrete repair crew within Public Works. Currently, we outsource all of this work, and that's worked for us in the past. But one of the things that we've found is that there's a delay in concrete restoration. So we would reduce our outsource costs, and we would bring in a 3-member concrete crew. So the other benefit there is we would have additional employees to help with snow plowing. Just sticking to the personnel changes, so recreation, a new maintenance worker that would be dedicated to field maintenance. Something we would look to do next summer as well is to increase our seasonal workers for field maintenance and for landscape improvements throughout the village, in our parks and Village Hall and in those areas. And then something else that we do now is we outsource our temporary special events staffing. We see these folks that we use at CPW concerts to do bag checks and such. We would bring that in-house. So we would essentially be kind of the Andy Frame service, if you would, instead of using somebody else. I think we'd have a better control on the caliber, and they would go through our background checks. They'd be uniformed by us. A new position for recreation is a program coordinator for seniors, veterans, and sponsorships. This would be a position that is desperately needed, that would, like the title says, focus on seniors, veterans, and sponsorships. Three areas that recreation can really use some assistance. Engineering, we would look to add one new engineer. As the board is aware, engineering is a grant machine, and I think the only thing that's kind of slowing them down now is actually just the workload, and so we would increase that bandwidth. This would easily pay for itself based on the tens of millions that they've been fortunate to get. And the mayor has said we have to enhance our performance. We have to look at how can we do things better. And so in the VMO, we would look for a strategic performance analyst that's going to be responsible for analyzing performance data. We're going to look for opportunities for improvement. But another element is going to be our accreditation program too. So this position would be kind of the go-to person for our accreditation. And then within our budget, we also have some one-time salary adjustments, just based on market conditions.
Hang on, George, before we jump into Chris's section, I guess, any top-of-mind questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Healy?
George, so the FTEs, the full-time employee equivalents, we're increasing them quite a bit this year. One of my questions is, how many full-time employees are we increasing this by?
The total number, Chris, do you have that?
15.
15.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, that's
So that includes 9 in police.
right. And I mean, 15 is, quite a bit. And when it comes to the police, you said that it was 5 patrol officers. Why not 3? How'd you pick 5?
It is based on and the chief will talk about it in a little bit, but that number is based on minimum staffing levels. So we're going to go to an 11 person staffing level, 11, as opposed to what we have on certain times 8. Go ahead, Chief.
Chief, do you want to take part of that?
Yeah, just touch base. So right now we have a minimum of 8 on the street, and we're taking from multiple divisions in the police department to supplement patrol for those minimums. We have our traffic units down 3 officers. Our tactical unit is down officers. We had an officer that we task forced out to the DEA, never replaced that person. In 22 years, we've hired 2 officers. 2 officers in 22 years. This town and the call volume has risen exponentially in 22 years, and we're doing the same amount, more work with pretty much the same amount of people. If we would have budgeted 1 or 2 officers every 2 years, we wouldn't be in this position. But we've never increased staff in almost 22 years.
Weren't we one of the safest communities in the last couple? We were one of the safest communities in Illinois, or?
Correct.
So there's, I mean.
But again,
From a violent
the
crime perspective.
quality of life, we have to think about the officers also. It's not just the residents. I mean, we're draining, these officers are being drained constantly. They're out there in 10 below 0 weather, constantly working. If it's cold for us, we're sitting in an office. They're out there working, getting sick. And I think we need to take care of the officers. And that's where mental health and increasing staffing alleviate a little bit of that.
It seems to me, just trying to keep a rein on costs or whatever, that we're adding a lot in 1 year, and it means you got to train a lot in 1 year, and you got to hire a lot in 1 year. I mean, that's to me, it's a big ask, I mean, for operationally for you guys. I do appreciate the quality of life with the police department and all that. You know, if you have personal knowledge of all that. And the fact that, you know, looking at it in the perspective over 22 years, I mean, that's a good point. But it just seems, in certain economic times, this is a big expanse of the force. That's my comment.
Any other comments? Just, Bill, just briefly responding to you that as the chief and the deputy chief explained it to me, this is about staffing minimum. So we're going to go from 8 to 11, perhaps more at any given shift. So I think the visibility of more police deployed as opposed to on paper is going to help with a lot of those things that I think we all hear. We'll call it quality of life. As the chief has explained, all moving violations are basically have to go to Cook County, right? Correct. We're writing speeding tickets, but we'll have more officers to kind of clamp down on some of that stuff, because I think we've all heard about people who think that every stop sign in Orland Park is a suggestion as opposed to a law. And so to me, this was about deploying more police officers. So as we go forward with this budget conversation, I think this is a healthy dialogue. The extra money is for increasing the police department. It's not the 12-hour shifts that's driving this. So this is a manpower, a change in manpower. Is that fair, Chief?
Right, there's many times where, we have Orland Park, a lot of retail. And when we have officers that are down on arrests and they're in the station on an arrest 2-3 hours, that area of town doesn't have coverage. And that's an issue. And we need to increase staffing. That way we have some rove cars so they can go and cover that area when an officer's down on an arrest.
Go ahead, Trustee Lawler.
Yeah, George, just to enhance what, Chief Rossi and everybody's saying here is that over the last 20 years, we've had multiple new subdivisions come on. I mean, we have a Pulte subdivision coming on and, starting right now. That's going to bring how many homes is it coming? 129 new homes coming in that. We've seen, 143rd, a townhome subdivision being built there. We saw a huge complex built at 171st. So I think it's just multiple, new homes and areas to serve.
Turn off your microphone. No, the people not talking.
Okay, well.
That woke everybody up.
But, so I think that it's important that we add these, police officers. And Chief Rossi, the other thing is by adding these new police officers too, because our police department is stretched, we are forcing them to work overtime, right? And that is an increase in,
Right, we try to monitor it the best we can, but sometimes when we're at minimums and we have somebody calling sick because, they're drained or for some reason they're not feeling well, we have to cover that with overtime. Yeah, that's correct.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Leakblad?
I wanted to comment too that, when you think about how much this village has grown in 22 years, and we have less officers, as I understand it, than we should have with the amount of people and the amount of businesses that we have as it is that right? Okay, so we have these officers who they're all human beings, they have lives, they have children, they have families. I mean, think of yourself at work. If nobody can take a sick day because that means that the rest of the office is gonna be so understaffed that, so now then that's gonna be, that causes difficulty. And I think that in general, statistics show that when employees can take care of themselves, take care of their families, they don't show up to work sick and get everybody else sick and, which causes more people to call in sick or whatever the reason is, it actually increases the value in terms of, it costs less money to have healthier employees. So I'm, you know, I definitely am glad we're doing this. Because I think that, you know, people's kids get sick, you know, whatever can happen, somebody should be able to leave work without the pressure of knowing that now everybody else, that now there's a section of town that isn't being covered, or somebody's not getting the support they need at work because people have to leave for other very important things. So that's.
What, anybody else? Just a quick comment, George. For some reason, and maybe Steve, you know this, I think it's some of the work that Ed Lilo did. Based on some of our data sources, we get 13 million unique visitors a year to Orland Park. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but just in support of this argument of the needing additional officers, we're also a commercial center, and that brings a lot more people. It's not just the people that are under roof at night. And that's another population that we still need to serve. So to your point, yes, we've had a tremendous amount of economic
Yeah,
growth.
well, let's undersize it and say it's 1 million visitors to Orland Park a month or per year, right? That's a lot of visitors between retail and medical. And then the other thing, and near and dear to Joel's heart, is we're 24 square miles. It's more roads, more pipes, right? We're geographically a bigger town than some other towns of the same size. So I think those two there is conditions for us. We do have a lot of visitors. We are geographically big. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani?
you know, considering we haven't even gotten to the details on these positions, I think some of this will probably come out as the why we need these, because as we look at the 12-hour shifts, there's gonna be needs that are changing. We have 8 beats. That's why we have 8 minimum. We need 1 person per beat right now, right? We have no overflow there, right? So having 11 people out there gives 3 possible people to be put back into place, right? So we can keep the village safe. That's what we're trying to accomplish, right? So I understand the reasoning, but like people are probably wondering, why a lieutenant? Why a sergeant? You know, why the PIO? I'll save that for later. You know, I think we'll see the big picture when we hear the details, and it'll make more sense. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Okay, well, you know what? Go ahead, Bill.
Is there, I'd like to know if there's any chance, we've got a new training facility, a shooting range, and it's state of the art. Is there any way of making money on that by renting it out to other departments? I mean.
It's a great point. So under that interagency cooperation that I mentioned, we have gotten a lot of interest in it, and we know of one that we're negotiating an agreement right now that'll bring in about $140,000 a year.
And it'll pay for one, so.
So I mean and we have to be mindful that was built so that for our training needs, and so that user agreements that we're negotiating right now is going to be used to help offset the costs of that facility, the principal, the interest. We're talking somewhere about $1.5 million a year. So we're negotiating contracts with other agencies that are meant to be win-wins. And that training facility, with the additional manpower, with the new shift schedules, to Trustee Leaplad's comment, we're going to reduce our turnover too. Everybody knows that turnover is not good for an organization, especially when it's constant turnover to create a chaotic environment. So it's been studied. We know that already. So we just lost an officer to another agency. It's a competitive field, and we're going to do everything we can to enhance quality of life for the residents, but to do that, we also have to do that for our officers.
All right, so Chris, let's get into every page of Government Accounting Standards Bureau.
Thank you.
Yeah, probably 130 more slides. Go for it, Chris.
Yep. Thank you. I just want to kind of start out making a little note here that the budget packet that was presented, that was shared with the board on October 5th, that is preliminary. So there have been some changes, adjustments throughout this time, the last week and a half or so. But I have been tracking all changes that are made, And after our discussions tonight, I will continue to enhance that tracking of changes, and that will be provided in the next proposed budget that I'll share with you within the next couple weeks or so. Okay. So to start out for tonight, our focus tonight is to present the village-wide budget as a whole and focus on 4 major areas of the budget, which consist of governmental operating, capital improvement fund, enterprise funds, which are consist of business-like activities within water, which includes the water and commuter lots.
I did it.
This next slide goes over the next steps until adoption. I'm estimating December 1st, if all is on time. If not, if we don't make December 1st, it'll be the second board meeting in December. So the next step would be beginning of November. We have the tax levy determination through discussions today, and we'll have that prepared for you at that board meeting. There'll be a resolution to publicly display the proposed 2026 budget, which you'll have ahead of time. And then public notice, truth in taxation, will be put out on November 17th. And then we'll have our hearings and adoption on the December 1st as planned. So the average citizen may not be aware of how accounting works in government. It's a little bit different than a business, but we do use separate funds for many different activities throughout the village. All funds are designated to record village activities appropriately in relation to the source of the revenues for each fund we collect. Oh, so I was going to just kind of go through and read through the slide a little bit and just kind of explain all the major funds that we use throughout the year, just to let you know what they're for. So the government fund is our main operating activities. The home rule sales tax, that is exactly that, the home rule sales tax that we've implemented many, many years ago, that we are now combining that in 2026 budget. We're combining that because it makes sense. It goes into the general fund. It's general revenue to the village, so there's really no need to separate it from the general fund. So,
Chris, quick clarifying
sure.
question on that one, but we're always going to keep track of how consolidating funds.
exactly, yes, we'll continue. It'll still have its own line item in the budget within the general fund. So it'll help fund the general fund, but I mean, typically we just, wherever the need is, we transfer out of there anyway. So it makes sense to put it with the general fund and have the general fund fund other funds as needed.
And Chris, when the auditors get a hold of all of these funds, they combine the home rule sales tax fund with the general fund as part of the governmental funds anyway.
Correct, yes. The Main Street Triangle, we have a separate fund for that. There'll be further discussions on that going forward. But downtown Orland Park TIF, we did create that in 2024, which when it was created, we created once a TIF is officially approved, we create its own TIF and account for that separately. The Recreation and Parks is another operating, but we use that for obviously the recreational programs. The Capital Improvement Fund is used for monitoring expenses relative to major capital projects and purchases. So this is nothing to do with our operations. This is all about any type of assets or programs that we're paying for. So these are actually approved separate, but within the budget. The debt service fund is really an in and out type of fund. It's the fund receives transfers from the general fund to pay debt obligations. So the general fund will pay, and then any, for example, the Triangle TIF, we've had debt on behalf of the Triangle. So the Triangle, any tax increment we collect there would be transferred directly to the debt service fund to handle those obligations. The water and sewer fund, we account this for these activities in the accrual basis of accounting, which is separate than we do for the general fund. General fund is a modified cash accrual, and then the water fund is more business-like accruals. The commuter parking lot fund, that's also much like the water sewer fund, that is also accrual basis. The insurance fund is, they receive transfers and contributions from other funds, and we pay our insurance premiums and claims out of that fund. The trust fund is typically there for fiduciary reasons, such as the other posted OPEB, which is known as OPEB. It's called the other post-employment benefits. And then, of course, we have other government funds, consist of motor fuel tax, parks development, and state and federal forfeitures.
Chris, just a quick, perhaps really nerdy question. I wouldn't be surprised if Trustee Healy jumps in on this one. But I noticed you called out for two of these accounts that it's accrual accounting as opposed to modified cash. And so just in simple terms, like in the water funds, the way we do our rates, the way we run the funds, the way we accumulate the money, we're accruing for eventual replacement. So it's basically a depreciation approach. And we don't do that with the other funds because we're government. So if you could just talk to that.
Yes, that's correct. Also, within the governmental funds, we recognize revenues when the cash is received. We recognize expenses when the cash goes out. And with the enterprise funds, we accrue for that, which means if we bill revenue, we earn the revenue before we collected the cash. So, Bill, I know you, I know you're familiar, but
Yeah, it gets a little wonky when we combine it and all that, but the accrual system is more for business, where you
Correct.
want to match the revenues and the expenses to the right period. And water's a big operation here, so that's, you definitely got to keep an eye on that for matching the revenues and expenses to make sure we're billing everything out.
correct. Good. Thank you. So with these funds, the village retains fund balance to help manage cash flows throughout the year due to collection of some revenue sources, such as property taxes, being inconsistent throughout the year. Fund balance also helps weather shortfalls in revenues if the need arises. The village's fund balance policy has been 20% for many years now, and we maintain that 20 balance and try to aim for about 40 or 50% is where our goal is, but yeah, we definitely maintain the minimum of 20%.
Chris, just the policy is 20% in the general fund, not on every fund.
Correct, main operating,
When we
yes.
get into the details, people will see that general fund is X percent, some of the other funds are a different percentage.
Correct, that would be the fund balance is a percentage of our expenses for the year. So theoretically, if the economy stopped and we had to continue operations, we can go 20% in the next year if we were at 20% fund balance. So that's the theory behind that.
Chris mentioned a little bit, but the village's budget is split into two parts. We have our operating, and as a municipality, we are essentially a service provider. So we don't create widgets, we provide services, and so our operating budget is primarily staffing. But we also have our capital improvement budget, which is separate, and so we've gone back and forth over the years, what's a capital improvement, what's not. We're going to finalize those definitions here coming soon before the board, so we can just adopt a formal policy, because in the last couple of years, it's just, it's moved so much. And, but essentially, a capital expenditure is one-time expenditure, and so we do use unassigned fund balance, and that's what Chris was just talking about. Our fund balance could be our capital improvement program. We can use that for that. We also want to have a healthy fund balance to weather any type of economic storm that may come in the future.
So this is the debt picture, estimating our debt. It's an estimate for our debt balance by the end of 2026, in the end of it all. So one important note I'd like to make is that all bonds go to capital and is never used for fund operations. We tie debt to certain capital assets, which have an estimated life of generally over 20 years or so. Without consideration of the current bond issuance, our village currently has $88.4 million in GO bonds. 65.2 million of it is allocated to the capital, general governmental capital. Only a portion of it is by the Main Street Triangle TIF, and 23.3 million fully abated by the water fund. The new 2025 series is adding another 40.2 million or so by the end of the current year, 2025. And is expected to close, actually it's going out next week on Monday, and expected to close on November 11th. And these anticipated figures will be updated for the final budget once we get those.
Once we get the interest rates.
Correct. It's coming. As you can see, the first column of this slide shows the total debt picture estimated for the year ending 2025. The next column identifies what we're planning for the next two columns to make our payment obligations within 2025. And then the final column of this on the right gives us an idea where we end at the end of next year. And this is relative to the question that was asked at the last board meeting, this slide. Actually, when we approved the parameters for the bond issuance coming out, going this Monday, the question was, what are we allocating these bonds to? And this is exactly it.
And Chris, this follows the 2023 5-year financial and capital improvement program.
That is correct. Yes. Yeah, we haven't deviated from that whatsoever. Yeah, so we're splitting the proceeds by portioning a large amount to the general capital, 2.5 million of the new TIF, to the new TIF, as we are aware of, and then the remaining 8 million to the water and sewer fund for water projects, obviously. All this debt will be abated with the new tax levy, without the new tax levy, I'm sorry, let me correct this. It will be abated in the levy. We will be funding this based on the original financial plan with the increase of the home real sales tax in 2024, and then the utility tax as well. So it's not gonna hit our property tax levy. It will be funded elsewhere by the general fund. And yeah, that's it for that. Our plan for 2026, any debt issuance, still continuing with the original plan. The big one would be the optimization public works site expansion for 10 million. We also have new Dick's House of Sport for 9.8 million, and then a potential TIF for Ravinia Avenue extension, just where it ends by Costco there. Total bond proceeds are budgeted right now for next year at 25.4 million. And then just to kind of further down the road, based on the original financial plan, possible 2027 bond issuance of $11 million would conclude the full 5-year program that we adopted a couple of years ago.
And on the new Dick's House of Sport and the potential TIF for the Ravinia extension, those would be paid back through TIF increment, tax increment, TIF increment for those project areas.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Leafblad?
Just a quick question before we go on, because you were talking about something being based on the original idea or from the original idea. When was that original idea? Just for a point of reference.
That was the 5-year financial capital improvement plan. That was
Approved in
accepted
2023.
by 2023.
2023?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then just a broad comment on this, you know, with TIFs, they're great when they work. Right? And so just as I think that with Dick's and with Ravinia Extension, this is a form of financing makes sense because yes, it's debt, but there's also for lack of a better word, and I don't have one, bit of an earmarked revenue stream. So that if we if things go according to plan, then this does not necessarily become a cash drain on our general fund. That's the hope.
That's
It's
the
also
hope.
the risk.
Yep.
So I just wanted to put it out there for the public that that's the way TIFs work. If they work, they're great, because a lot of detailed assessment planning goes into them. If they don't work because conditions become adverse, well then, yeah, then it's a liability on your general fund revenues. And in the absence of new revenues, it means somehow, some way, we're paying that debt and you got to take it out of something. So I just want to, we're all clear on that one, I think.
Yep.
John, put your microphone on. If you can.
And we will get you, right after this meeting, we'll get you, the board will get the slides as well.
Thanks.
So the next slide identifies the funds that we collect the most revenues in. So as you can see, we're still on track. We have our projected for 2025, and based on various reasons on each item, each line item, we determine what our increase for the next year would be. So we're on track here.
Yeah, hey, Chris, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Oh, you can, this page is fine too, either one.
Okay.
Do people, you want the visual or the data? This graph is fine as opposed to the data chart.
Yeah.
I just will make the comment so we as a board and you as staff kind of were ever mindful about the underlying strength or lack thereof with our financials. So good news, the overall sales tax is trending up. Check. Health of the economy, health of Orland Park, competitive advantage, call it what you will. If you look at the home rule sales tax, it jumped with the tax increase, but that's relatively flat. So there's a couple of indicators here that, as I said earlier, there is risk in the economy. So I just want, let's all just be smart and keep an eye on it. Chris and I have had a couple of conversations where I'd like a few more details released to the board every month about how our revenue flows are trending so that we can keep a close eye on this, because it matters. I think a number of us have all lived through two pretty brutal downturns in the economy, and it's not pleasant to be a public official when you've got to make budget cuts. So just, I don't know, I'm not afraid of next year, but let's just be mindful there's risk. Trustee Healy?
Mr. Mayor, if it's any comfort, we have those other, the bankers and the investment companies and the companies who we issue the bonds through. They go through this financial statement too, and they recognize the risk and they price it. But you're right, you have to be concerned about the risk, but it's also good to have them look it over.
Yep.
And get their approval too, that we're going to be able to pay it back.
So thank you, Mayor. You took care of the slide for me.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
For where? No, you're okay. No, but I just want to add one more note, though. In 2024, when it was increased, it was at 0.75%. It went up 2/3 of that, so we added another 0.5%. So the result actually is about 2/3 of what we used to collect. So had we done another 25%, 0.25%, we probably would have been doubled where we're at. So it's all proportionate, and we see steady inclines each year.
This next slide is 10-year history on the property tax levy. So the proposed 2025 levy, and as most people know, property tax we collect in arrears. So in 26, the dollars that we're going to collect are based on the 25 property tax levy. So our proposed levy, it goes up slightly, but it still remains under the 13.9 million that was levied in 2022. It goes up slightly based on our calculations to capture growth. So our plan is to maintain the tax levy for residents. They would pay a same or similar a level. And again, the village's portion of a property tax bill is about 6%, so it's a small portion of that. But as development is occurring in the village, we have new properties developing, that the assessed value is increasing. And so that is why we've increased our levy in order to capture that assessed value.
Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Maloney?
So basically, our rate is staying pretty
Exactly.
the same. It's just the amount has shifted because of the increases.
That's exactly it. So the overall assessed value for the municipality, we're estimating to increase 3.75% next year. And so we're increasing the dollar amount that we're gonna request so that we can capture some of that.
And Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Leafbite?
Just to, you mentioned that the assessment of the area, we don't do the assessment of the
Right.
area, right? That's the Cook County assessor.
That's correct.
So the assessments of the area are based on what the Cook County assessor says. And then based on that, then we receive
Yep.
what our levy, whatever the levy says we receive.
Yeah, and as a home rule community, what we ask is what we receive. So it gets a little more convoluted, but a non-home rule community, school districts, for example, they're subject to PTEL, which is a tax cap. So in order for them to actually try to calculate this growth, they have to shoot for the stars, because they'll be capped anyway. We're asking for a specific amount, we will get that specific amount. We have to do a lot more calculating to make sure that we stay with the tax burden for residents stays similar.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Neely?
Well, as you know, George, I'm all for lowering taxes as much as we can and all that, but what I see is that in my mind, and I might be wrong, but inflation was 6 to 8%. And at 8%, that would be $1 million on top of the taxes adjusted for inflation. We're only going up 350,000.
Yeah.
Call it 2% or between 2 and 3%. That might be a victory, I think, so.
Yep. I mean, and that's, the assessments is not as scientific as inflation, especially at the Cook County level. So.
Nicely said, George.
Yeah. So, what we're assuming is the average increase over the last 10 years. So that's where we get the 3.75% increase. Now, because of the triannuals, you're gonna have, and we've seen this, right, as homeowners in Orland Park, we've seen incredible increases in individual property assessments. So we're smoothing this out for the sake of, just forecasting at a 3.75.
Do we don't, Chris, do we expect any adverse impacts to our property tax levy from, let's say, PTAB types of reductions, people contesting their taxes?
No.
We we haven't heard of any major PTAB type of reductions.
Okay, yeah, we can take that up later, but just, it's kind of pivoting off of what's been asked. If we're building this plan, we're targeting a certain amount of stability of the revenue flows.
Yeah.
So just looking for the risk factors to that stability. So let's keep going.
Just one thing, if I can comment too, like municipalities levy they submit their levy, but they may not collect everything. So it's based on the residents actually paying their property tax bills. And just want to mention that Orland Park has a very good record of residents paying their property tax bills. So it's a sure revenue stream for us.
Yep.
So that is the end of the intro. And now it's going to be Vince's turn for communications and marketing.
Unless there are any other questions right now.
You can ask Vince about the tax levies.
So George, we're going department by department.
Correct.
And then, what we figured is that we'd have this conversation, and by department, we could discuss it, fire brutal questions at the individual staff members, and then have some follow-up. So just to set the cadence for the next part of the meeting. Okay. The next, 120 slides?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're through 40 of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I thought we were on 23, slide 23.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, who's counting?
Over to you, Vince.
Hello, Mayor and Village Board. It is fun being down here. Normally I'm up there in the window, so it's kind of weird being down here. So bear with me as we go through. I promise my section is not nearly as long as Kershid or Ray's. So.
Oh, and they let you go first. They must like you.
So some highlights from communications and marketing. This data is from October 1st, 2024 to October 1st, 2025. We've seen a steady increase in all of our social media accounts as well as YouTube subscribers. Facebook has increased by 2,000 fans, and throughout that time frame of that year, our post impressions have got over 8 million impressions, so that's over 8 million people have come across at least one of our posts on their feed. Moving to Instagram, we've had an increase in about 1,000 followers throughout that time and 800,000 impressions. And then X, formerly Twitter, about 300 increase in followers. It's the one we see the least traction on, but we do still get traction, and 132,000. In that time, our YouTube subscribers have jumped 330. And we've had a combined about 64.7 thousand views on our combined videos. This year is the first year in the past 3 years that we will hit all 8 of our publications, whether they are in print and or digital format. The reason being is just staffing issues, with staff turnover. Last year we hit 7, the year before 6. So this year will be 3 resident newsletters, 3 senior newsletters, our police annual report, and obviously the budget in brief. Some other highlights, just like last year, this year, 100% of our video materials all produced in-house. Year to date, we've had 120 videos produced over multiple mediums, so that's live stream, that's just different kinds of filming, whether it's on the iPhone or whether it's on a professional video equipment. Event promotions, informational videos, motion graphics, animation, and as I discussed, live streams already. We are trying to turn to create more narrative-driven content with the help of some of our board meeting briefs, as well as just some more engaging topics to help promote the things that's going on in the village. A lot of times it's easy to get into the ruts where it's just like, hey, here's the information, here's a graphic, it's in video form. So we're just trying new things, and we've found some recent success this year with a couple of our Centennial Park West Presents promotions. Namely, the one that comes to mind, our Touch a Truck promo had over 56 shares on Facebook just for one event and 156 comments. We've found already huge success with those board meeting brief videos as well as the written ones, even though I don't have it on the slide. I think we've produced somewhere around 8 of them and have over 43,000 views since they began, which has been fantastic. Our e-newsletters, we regularly produce around 75 Gov delivery emails just as additional communications to our residents. Our subscribers have increased by over 800 people. Now those people can subscribe for multiple topics. So those total subscriptions, which can be someone subscribing to special rec, someone subscribing to village events, to village information, that has increased over 8,000 new topic subscriptions in 2025. Additionally, media communications, we've had 50 press releases distributed to local, state, and national audiences since as of October 2nd, 2025. That's year to date. And I believe that is an increase of about 8 compared to the previous year throughout that same time frame. As well as photography, we've captured over 100 different Village of Orland Park events this year. I know when we see that word events, we think recreation, but everything small from ribbon cuttings and even internal stuff with Live Well and staff, we've captured all the moments there and we have them readily available. Looking forward to 2026, we do have a small increase in our budget for printed communications. So something we've found just this summer is people respond very well, whether it's just a letter or a note card in the mail. So we just have a small bump so we can continue to do that, whether it be 1 or 2 letters a month or maybe a postcard for something. We're working with Public Works as the fiber companies install their fiber optic, so communication to residents with that. So whether that's a postcard or letter to let them know about that installation. As I discussed earlier, creating more narrative-driven content just to help market the Village of Orland Park. We're always looking to improve ourselves and what what sells to the residents. The residents are our customers, right? As well as people who visit Orland Park. We are always looking to improve our communication to the residents, businesses, media, and visitors, as well as reduce miscommunication and incorrect messaging. But just by process improvement, working with you on the different village staff, working with the elected officials, working with our contractor, and working with the new public outreach coordinator. One thing we're working with IT is ADA compliance for the village's website. That big deadline target is April 2026. So right now we have already began remediation for our current website, fixing broken links, fixing misspellings, and then soon will be PDF remediation. We have already made a return to some employee engagement and training videos. We just recently filmed the First Amendment audit training that will be on the Know Before for our village staff, for anyone who couldn't make the meeting. So just increased village training videos with that. We've worked previously with Development Services with their new utility billing, I'm thinking finance, which is also coming, but with permitting and different instructional videos for that for residents. And then, as I briefly touched upon, working with the public outreach coordinator to highlight positive connections made within Orland Park. So as he makes those connections, we're there to capture videos, capture photos, and really just promote Orland Park the best we can. Luckily, my section is very short, so if there are any questions, I'd be happy to
Sorry,
take them.
Vince, a couple questions. Could you touch on where we are with the police videos? I think they were recruiting videos, or were they training videos, Chief? I don't know which one he wants to take that.
Yeah, I got it. So we are working with police for a number of videos right now. One, which will be seen very soon, is a demo video of their Drones as First Responders program. Working with that, we are also working with updating their recruitment video to make it up to date, modern, and help fill those 9 new positions.
Yeah. Trustee Maloney, did you have a comment about the age of that video?
Oh, no, it was up to date and modern,
Yeah.
not so much.
No, and just broadly, Vince, you and your team are everywhere.
Yes.
So thank you for capturing the videos and the images that go into the communications for the village. And I guess, and broadly, as you guys work on process, and I'm sure you've had this conversation with George, do you have all the technology and bandwidth that you need? Because there's a lot of things that we could be doing, right? And now that we're about to authorize an increase in the police department, a new recruiting video is going to be pretty helpful to fill those slots. So just, do you have all the tech and bandwidth that you need is my question for you and George.
Yeah, so the tech, we always have a small tech budget. So as new technology comes out and different things like that, or if something breaks, God forbid, but we have had a drone crash in the past. So no, we are able to not stay, what is the term? Not bleeding edge or not cutting edge, but pretty up to date.
Leading, not bleeding.
That's it. And then, as we're working through the processes, we're working with our contract with Publicity Communications and with the new public outreach coordinator. I will say, while things seem good now, we are, kind of discovering new better ways to communicate with residents, right? So while we can handle the workload, we need to figure out how much is being assisted and how much is what are these new ideas that are being brought in? Can we handle those? So right now, looking forward to this next year, I do think we can, but it'll be an interesting conversation to have as that evolves.
One quick question, Trustee Healy, give me 1 second. Could you and Tad very briefly touch on what we're doing to the website broadly, let alone the ADA compliance piece. I didn't know that ADA applied to websites, so I learned something the other day.
Yeah, ADA compliance is huge. I believe it is law by April 2026 that government websites do need to be mostly ADA compliant. They're not going to cut you off as long as you are making progress towards that, which we are already starting. So as I kind of briefly touched upon, that includes every little things you almost wouldn't think about. Images on the website need to be properly tagged. So if they don't load for somebody, you can still read what is supposed to be the image. Links should be working. PDFs need to be read with an e-reader just in case, someone has difficulties reading that. So we've worked with the IT department, and they had some budget this year to bring on some ADA remediation. So we're working with, we're kind of borrowing one of IT's interns to help with that website remediation. And just making sure we are all good to go by that April 2026 date.
I think, John, Trustee Healy wanted to be recognized, and then I'll come back to you.
Go ahead, John, go first. Vince, really quickly, one of the things that, I constantly hear is about communication. Are we tracking metrics to see what is the best form of communication? Because I know sometimes websites, not everybody's on Facebook or Instagram, so they don't see things. And sometimes going to our webpage can be a little overwhelming because you might just want to find out about a simple event, not see all the other stuff that's on there. Whereas newspapers used to be great. Obviously communities have lost all their local newspapers where you would get every week, and you could read up what was going on in the village. But are you guys tracking metrics of what is the best way to communicate with people?
Yes, so in 2023, we did do a communication survey. That did come back that most people do get their information through social media. It's the digital age right now. But one thing we did find, and this dates back, I believe, to 2020, is that people love their printed news. They love the newsletters. They love the senior newsletters. Back then, I believe we tried to make them, I was not here, digital only, and the residents revolted. They like the physical news in their mailbox that tells them about what's going on in Orland Park. But that's our biggest adversary is we can do all of these things, print, website, social media, door hangers, knocking on doors, and people still tell us that I had no idea about this. Why didn't you, personally send a carrier pigeon to let me know? But we are tracking that, and as of that 2023 survey, social media was the biggest way that people of Orland Park find out about things.
I think I've mentioned it before, has there ever been any talk about taking a piece of a subset of the website and just having, instead of going to orlandpark.org or gov, whichever it is, I can't remember, to get information. But could we do an Orland Park info website where you're not getting bombarded with all the other stuff?
It's definitely something to think about as we are all working with IT for that remediation on the website. I believe IT, and no spoilers for Tad's section here, does have budgeted for a website redesign. So it's definitely something we can take into account as we redesign it. Maybe there's a simpler homepage, right, where people can get kind of that quick and easy information. And then if you want to learn more about development services, you kind of dig into that on the website.
Trustee Healy, did you have a question or a comment?
My comment, Mr. Mayor, was basically covered by that. I noticed that the newsletters were a big expense in your budget.
Right.
And I just, the seniors, I get it, they could better to get it, but I don't know, it's maybe in 10 years, it'll be more digital, but right now.
That's fair.
I don't know, you guys have done some good work on that, so it's just the biggest part of your budget, and we'll have to see if we can make it more efficient. Who knows?
For sure.
Thanks.
We're always looking forward, as times change 10 years from now, you're absolutely right. That can change where maybe people would prefer it to be digital. But I know right now, the print is the preferred way to go.
Mike?
Yes, just a quick question. great overview of what's going on. And clearly, you guys have improved things continuously over the past couple of years even. You know, I mean, it's been, you know, we went from not having, you know, any video at all to now have videos for everything, right?
Yeah, now we're live streaming our own board meetings, right?
Now, I guess the one question I had, wasn't a lot there on what the budget was gonna be spent on, right? You know, so I was just kind of curious, are there any new things that you've added in versus that, obviously there's costs associated with what you listed, but are there any surprises in there? Because it didn't look like things had changed much, but I just didn't know if you had added anything new in that you wanted to highlight.
No big surprises. I believe the biggest bump in, you know, I guess, again, compared to some other departments, not necessarily huge, but a big bump for us in communications is just an increased budget in that print communication as we continue to do more letters, more postcards. We've done 2 letters just on Wolf Road alone this summer. So just budgeting to make sure we can continue to do that throughout the year.
Okay, so it's more increased volume is
Yes.
probably the biggest expense.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I think we're good.
Steve, take it away.
Okay, thank you. My presentation's also pretty short. So I'm starting off with upcoming development because this is affecting your green and blue and gold bars. So we don't build stuff ourselves, but we help other people build things. And those things produce that value that George was talking about, which get assessed, like Trustee Leafpad was talking about, in some kind of mystery soup, and then spits back out into stuff that becomes revenue for us. And that's in the property value, and the whole evaluation of the town, in sales taxes that we get, motor fuel taxes, et cetera. So these are, I'm not going to go through all these because most of them have crossed your desk over the last year, but these are things that did get completed in the last year, some of them. And these are some things that are coming up that are going to continue to add value and produce revenue for the village. So this last year, so we have remained extremely busy, large numbers of permits. And for permits issued, I just want to, we included 23 in this one because this was before the storm. And the storm year was 24, and here's where we are at least through August. We just got our September numbers today, so they were included. We're still very high. And this represents investment in our town. All of the permit values that come in go to our assessor's offices, to the 4 townships, and that comes back in the valuations, which help keep our revenue coming in. Our inspections are still high. We've been, as you know, we do lots of special event permits that you guys see along with Parks and Rec. We're still continuing to maintain the code and making sure that that stays up to date, and you will always be seeing those things for us throughout the year. We have a very large number of development applications this year, which is a lot of activity. And I'm sorry this is getting pinched off at the end over here, but these are new staff members or replacement staff members. So we've had a lot of turnover in our office, and we're hoping to get that number down as we move forward. Big deal this year for us is that our new permitting software, it did launch in June. We just got through a lot of training the last few weeks with the decentralization of the programming parts of this. I've now had about a third of my department trained on maintaining this. And one of the increases in the budget, although it's pretty small, is just to make sure that we have continuing education on the Tyler product. Because like every other piece of software, it's constantly changing. And because we're not just users, we're also programmers, there's a lot of back office stuff that goes along with that. Other projects is a continuation of our strategic annexations that we did. Quite a lot of certificates of appropriateness. These are the appearance in the historic areas. Kept up with our operating procedures. I know in the previous budget year, we had a complete and total look at our entire department and all of our procedures, but we continue to maintain that effort to look for ways to be more efficient. And then we have this big RFP coming out in our comp plan, which I'll get to in a little bit. Next year, so continuing with EPL, so we put some of our processes are live right now. For permits, we will continue to switch different switches on and add more processes as we get all the programming set up, and that includes updating the fees that the board has previously passed that were put on hold until we got our programming in place for those things. Continuing to tweak our processes now that we're using the system to find gaps, things we didn't anticipate until you got into the thick of it and started working on it. And then just making sure that our data is good quality. The system that we imported was pretty old, and it brought in even older data. So a lot of the issues we've had is converting all this because we can't lose stuff. Our stuff we have to keep forever because you're going to want to know what happened to your house in whatever year or whatever building, and we need to make sure that we know when those things happen. So maintaining and archiving that data is really important to us. That includes getting our paper copies of things, building rooms in the basement in electronic format, and attaching them little by little to these files so we can find them faster for FOIA. Big project coming up is the comp plan, which you guys heard a presentation from me. We're about to get that RFP out. And also update the other sections of the plan. Those are just the other sections. We're not doing a full redo. It's just bringing stuff up to date, making sure all of the maps and the goals are in there, and actually do the implementation plan, which is something that was lacking from the last one. And that's it for me.
Any questions or comments from the board? So Steve, can you go back a page or two? Right. So you and your team are doing a lot, right? And it's been my experience that when someone who wants to develop a piece of property or replace a roof walks into the village, in their minds, the clock starts ticking.
Mm-hmm.
And then they expect that things are done near instantaneously with perfect quality. And so constant struggle is what I'm saying. And I guess as we go forward, question for you and for George is, given people's expectation sets of what the permitting process is or the approval process is, it feels like in 26, with some of the assessments and some of the technology things we're doing, we're going to have a better feel for this. Because the fundamental question is it a staff issue? Staffing issue, not staff.
Mm-hmm.
People, process, technology. They use a very simplistic old framework. Do we have enough of all three?
So I've been asked the question about the number of people multiple times, and to make sure that I'm fiscally responsible, I want to make sure that the system is working properly before I decide I need more people. So once we get it up and running and see what we need, if I find out that we need more people, then I will ask you for them. I'm not asking for new people this year in this budget. I'm not saying that I'm not going to need them in the year after that, but I need to find out how this technology, once it gets all the way going, is going to work. Like right now, once everything's either entered manually into the system by us from the switches that are not on yet, or that's entered by the applicant, they can see where they are in the process all the time. It's an issue of getting them educated to do that. And we have lots of ways we try to do that, but a lot of people just don't take advantage of those.
No, yeah,
tools.
Stephen, and it's a broader issue. We've had some conversations, and this kind of loops back in, Tad, with what we're going to test and learn and do some things around AI generally in 26. So I, for one, really appreciate the fact that you're thinking process and technology before we go immediately increase staff. So thank you for that, right? Deeply, deeply grateful, and then kind of do keep us posted on the progress, because if we do find any kind of process automations for you, it ought to help. But that implies that the entire experience of somebody seeking approvals or permitting is so easy, so self-evident, so technology-enabled that it takes, theoretically. I had a friend who said, we were doing a driveway permit and it took X amount of time. Okay, probably lots of back and forth, when something like that literally could be potentially one day if all the submissions are right. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I appreciate the way you're trying to solve the problem.
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody has any comments or questions. George Hand.
Krishid is next, and he has a number of slides because he's got a lot of projects, but he'll fly through those slides.
Do we, I go question for the board, right? We're keeping this pretty casual tonight. Let's maybe do Krishid's, take a quick 5-minute break. Does that work? Yes. Oh, there you go. Wow, you're getting all the love tonight, Krishid.
Hey.
All the love. It's all yours, Krishid.
Thank you. So, Mayor and trustees, thank you for the opportunity. But before I start, I really want to recognize our engineering staff. I mean, just like you recognize us, I have to recognize our staff. We have a small staff, but they're very, very dedicated, very, very focused. So I personally want to thank and recognize them at this occasion here. So we will talk about some of our projects, and I have intertwined our achievements in that as well. As you all know, the project that we talk pretty much on an everyday basis is 143rd Street widening. So that project, I'm very excited that next year we plan to bid this project from Southwest Highway to basically it's Highland. We call it West Avenue, but that's the portion that we will be bidding. It's really in the final stages of its design. We're working on the right-of-way acquisition. We have quite a few challenges. We have about 13 properties to acquire, either right-of-way or permanent or temporary easement. All of those are in process. Letters are going out to the homeowners, our property owners. Just a quick reminder on that, the project's estimated construction cost as of today is about $22 million. That includes redoing the railroad crossing. That is a major expense for that project, but otherwise it will be a 5-lane road from Southwest Highway to west of West Avenue, which is about Highland Avenue. 12 million of that is secured in grants. We have confirmation for those. We are requesting $10 million from the village to complete this project. If we maintain these numbers, that's about 54% coming in grants. However, I would want to add that the department has written letters to IDOT about 6 months ago. We're asking them to help us with that $10 million gap that we have. And we're hopeful. We are always working towards it. We still have a little bit of time, but with mayor and trustees' help and everybody else's help, hopefully we'll be able to get that down to a smaller number. This middle section, which we call the West Avenue to Wolf Road, we will carry that design as far as we can, but then after that, we would have to wait until we find construction funds. The last item that we have here, when I was preparing these slides, we didn't have much to add to it. The project was as far as we can carry, but as you know, Mayor and Village Manager's office as well, last week we heard a very good news from IDOT that over $30 million was allocated by IDOT for this project. I do not have all the details in my possession, so that's why I have not mentioned it. But we're very, very confident that IDOT's document, it is published. IDOT published it in their MYP, multi-year program, that the section from Wolf Road to Woolcook Road will be funded by IDOT 100%, and then it will take care of the flooding problem west of Wolf Road. That will go away. And then it will also give us a 5-lane road. The other element that is we would have to own this piece of the road after this portion is built, which I would say about 3 years from today.
Just one brief comment on this is, I think everybody on this board knows, we had the jurisdictional transfer on 143rd from LaGrange to Harlem back in the day. And plowing a road that long, that wide, necessitated some additional equipment purchases for Public Works. So there's cascade effects of jurisdictional transfers. And I, for one, wasn't enamored when I saw him putting a road on styrofoam blocks, which we're now about to repair at 143rd and Humphrey. So the good news is the state's got its queued up, into a multi-year program. The challenging news is that doesn't mean we have the money yet. So we're going to have to keep up pressure, if you will, on the state to make sure we get that money. But I just want, all future boards to know that going after this project, the only way to get it done this way was with jurisdictional transfer. 30 years from now, somebody's got a pretty big road to fix.
That's true, Mayor.
It just creates the long-term liabilities, the first word that comes to mind, but it is what it is. Thank you, Krashid.
So the next big project that we have a little bit of hiccup because of utility issues is John Humphrey Drive on 143rd that Mayor just mentioned. That project should be in construction later this year, if nothing else, early next year. And then we will have a replacement of our bridge, and that intersection will be completely rebuilt. It will be wider than what it is today. It will have new traffic signal. Again, that project has overall cost, including construction engineering services, about 10.7. We secured $4 million, which is about 37% of our budget, or the required amount that is needed for construction. The village share is about $7.2 million. And then we should have this completed by the end of next year.
And just while we're chatting about it, this is another one where Krashid, George, and I and the staff, it's like we're always talking about how do we go after more state money? So constant work in progress. Even if it's in a plan or the grants are lined up, you still have to go make sure the money actually shows up. So that's a constant effort.
There is quite a bit of paperwork that we do in the background to get these money coming to us, because most of these grants are what they call as reimbursable, that we expense the money and then we have to get the paperwork done to get those money back to us. And we stay pretty accurate on that with Chris's help and all of that. Tinley Creek Bank stabilization, right now it's out for bids. Currently, the project is out for bids. I expect the bids to coming back in the second week of November. All the designs are done. All the easements are secured. As you all know, just for confirmation, there are 4 properties that did not give us the easement, so those were excluded from the project, and that's how it will be. We have estimated construction costs somewhere in the $8 million. We have $3.7 million in MWRD grant, which is about 45% of that expense that we have. And it is my understanding that the village water fund will cover this cost. This is not going to come out of our general fund. Again, this project will be completed by the end of next year with a little bit of landscaping work in 2027. This slide just talks about our achievement. Water main spur 2, what we call, which is a $24 million project for our section only. Overall, it's a $300 million project. It's a redundant water supply. We will have this coming water through these pipes to us sometime next year, late next year. This project is all done. All the pipes are in place. If Orland opens the water to us, we will be able to get it. The second piece is a much smaller dollar value for the project. It's called T-Connection at our Orland Park pump station. It is also a very, very strong element of our redundant water supply. I really want to take the pride that I want to share with you that this project actually saved the village about $20 million in not reconstructing another pump station, another reservoir, and all the related infrastructure. So our cost is $70,000. The total cost was $250,000. Of that, we secured $180,000 in grants. So for $70,000, we have a very strong redundant water supply where even if our pump station is not operating, we should be able to pump water from Orland directly to our pump station, sorry, to our water towers. The next few projects are currently in design. 153rd and Ravinia Roundabout is currently in design. We expect that to be in construction late next year, early 2027. We have estimated $4.4 million in construction cost. We have secured $2.3 million, which is about 45% of the project cost in grants. So the village expense will be about $2 million on that project. 82nd Avenue multi-use path is also in design right now. We will be in phase 2 very soon, in the next few months or so. Of that, those are phase 2 dollar numbers, but the construction funding has secured about $1.7 million for 2027. We will get back to you with more information next year in the next year's budget. McGinnis Slough Bike Path, or multi-use path, we will be wrapping up phase 1 in the near few months and then starting phase 2. Of that $500,000 for phase 2, we have secured $385,000 in STP grants, and then village share will be about $115,000. So it's about 77% grant money. But good news also is that we have also secured $1.5 million in construction funding that is expected in 2027. 167 multi-use pad, that's our third pad that we're working on. About $5.3 million is the construction cost, and of that, $3.1 million is secured, and we will be looking for a $2.2 million village funding. All of these numbers are requested in 2026. These are new initiatives that we wanted to bring to the board and see, which ones would you allow, or what's the priority out there. Ravinia Avenue Extension, I think this has been discussed just a few minutes ago. This will actually be allow Ravinia Avenue to connect behind Costco to LaGrange. This is in the making for last, I don't know, probably 15 years or so. It is a $5.6 million estimated cost, including land right-of-way acquisition. It is my understanding that this cost will be paid by the TIF that is coming up. Dick's House of Sports, I did not put a dollar value on it, but that is about a $3 million project that will be covered through a Dick's House of Sports or the Sears store TIF funds. Wolf Road flood-prone properties, we are working on that. The contract for that design has been approved by the board about 2 weeks ago. And then we will be looking for a $3.6 million in construction late next year or in 2027. We're very confident that we will be able to get some grant funding from IDNR on this project. Don't know what that is. We just actually applied for some grant funding on that. A new multi-use path to complete the path around Lake Sedgwick or Centennial Park will be the one that we want to do a study on, do a phase 1. If we can get phase 1 money from the village, we believe we can get phase 2 and construction money later on in the project. Another element that we tried to bring some potential revenue to the village, as well as make it easier for our projects, is wetland credits. We want to do a study that can we do a project within the village limits where we can build some wetlands, where we can take some credit for our projects, whether they're public or private, and then get some revenue back to the village. It will be one-time revenue. The next two are signal progression for 143rd and 151st. We can improve the traffic flow on these roadways because they are our jurisdiction, so all signals are under our control. If we get those approved, we believe we can improve traffic flow by the end of 2026 to whatever it is from today. LaGrange Road and 159th Street intersection, and probably going 3 to 4 signals in each direction, is getting very, very congested. And we want to see if we can study some traffic issues there. If we can come up with some solutions, then we can go after for some HSIP, Highway Safety Improvement Program, grant funding. So that's another request. Another element that we learned from our utility needs study was that we have some fresh water supply deficiencies in the southwest quadrant of our village. And this request for $150,000 will allow us to start a design process so that we can see if we can add some water lines in the southwest quadrant of our village.
Mr. Chairman? Going back to the signal progression, so when was the last time we looked at that?
To my knowledge, it has not been done. I would say since I've been here, don't know when it was done.
And just the fact that traffic flow has changed so much and there's much more traffic since those signals were probably programmed,
Definitely, that's the right way to say it, exactly.
Because you notice it as you're driving down 151st for sure. 143rd, not as many signals, right, until you get further east, right?
Correct.
But when you're talking about 159th and LaGrange, are you talking about like right in front of PD's, that area, or like west of there, or is it?
We are talking in all 4 directions, trustee, that if you go LaGrange Road, 159, either directions, all 4 directions, we want to have a better understanding that what it is today and what it might be for the next 5-10 years, so that we can plan it a little bit better.
Right. Okay, and who owns the lights if you head west? Are those if you head west down LaGrange, or down 159th?
That's IDOT.
That is IDOT, so we have no control over any of them.
We have no control, but if we can bring them a solution or some improvement, then we might be able to get some funds through STP or HSIP that they would support that.
Because, yeah, that whole west part of 159th past LaGrange, those signals are
Yeah,
not very efficient, let's call it that.
And
trustee,
we do notice that. There are times when the traffic will just wait and not get the green time that they need to get that green time. So we want to improve that.
Right.
yeah, I don't know if Joanna and you, Mike, have seen it. I've been at that intersection where people get frustrated and they'll pull out from behind you and go through the light. So yeah, it's dangerous at 104th. You can see the burnouts of people trying to get around, so needs to be done.
These are parks projects that we will be leading in terms of design and construction as an engineering element, but we will be working very closely with Parks and Ray especially. I don't need to go through this list. Most of you know already what this list looks like. There are 2 projects for pickleball, and then the rest are either parks project or parking lot improvement projects. Some of the things that we did to look into future, for example, utility need assessment. We did a village-wide utility need assessment about a year or so ago, which looked at water, sewer, and stormwater in the entire village, especially for the large parcels. There's about 2,000 acres in the village that is not developed yet, and that was the focus on that. So we have, and that one of the projects that we are proposing this year is coming out of that utility needs assessment. We're definitely happy that Huesler Park is complete. The underground tank is in operation, and the project is in use. Boley Farm deconstruction was also completed. Dr. Marsh was completed, which also won the APWO's award. And 159 and 94th Avenue intersection safety study was completed. Right now, it's in phase 1, and we're also fortunate that we secured $150,000 for phase 2 of that study. This is the intersection where we own the north leg, east and west leg is owned by IDOT, south leg is owned by Cook County. So when the time will come for improvements at this location, we will definitely be going after these 2 agencies to help us with finances. Just a quick understanding about some of our efforts that we do. We completed 50 private engineering reviews, all in-house. These were all done in-house. We do take some consultants' help on selective projects, but for the last several years, we have been doing this in-house. We're also leading the Parking and Traffic Advisory Committee, which is a very active from residents. Typically, we're averaging about 30 to 35 requests every year, about 3 to 4 requests every month. The department is also ADA coordinator for the village, where we represent the village at state and county levels. And then we also do in-house traffic studies as well as traffic counts. I just put together, Mayor, at your request previously, this is all the total request. These are the projects that I talked to you about. Overall, in this request, there is about $60 million request. Of that, $23 million is available in grant, and the village would be looking for a $42 million support. That's just a quick summary, and that is the end of our session.
Kishore, can you go back to this page? So just a couple of quick comments. So thank you, right, that's fine. Yeah, maybe go back to one more page. Right, so there is potential, but not necessarily a high probability of finding additional funds from the state for some of these projects, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we'll maintain that constant pursuit. And then, all these things just feel like they're required infrastructure build-outs for what we're doing, right? These are identified needs as we finish the village. Like you said, there's water issues in 2,000 acres, there's road issues, et cetera.
Correct.
So I don't see a lot of things in here that, they're all important. Some are more critical than others, correct?
True, that's true.
And then so thank you. And a question for you, Chris, and for you, George. When we're doing the early stage, phase 1, phase 2 engineering, do we treat those as capital expenses? Because
Yes.
it's eventually part of a capital project.
Correct, yes, that's kind of included in our capital improvement budget, yes.
The professional services to keep these things moving, we capitalize effectively.
Correct. And then once it's an official project, then yes, we kind of capitalize it together.
And to the extent that we're pulling debt, they're all bond eligible, correct? Because they're capital expenses?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments from the
Mayor?
board? Trustee Leafland?
Yeah, I really want to comment on how good you are at acquiring these grants, because I want to recognize that these things don't come and find you. So you have to take time to see if something is available in whatever item that you're working on. Then you have to complete really exhaustive documentation, as I understand it, right? To submit that, and then stay on top of it to make sure you get the answer. And then once it's granted, then you have to stay on top of it just to make sure all the money comes in at the right time, and that you continue to follow up with the documentation and data that you need to provide so that you can be given those funds based on the terms of the grant. So I really think it's important to highlight this, because this, in and of itself, to me, seems like a full-time job. So thank you for doing this, because, I mean, the amount of money this has saved the village is absolutely, I mean, it's impressive. So thank you.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Chairman?
much.
Trustee Milani?
I know we give you a hard time every time you present, but I appreciate the level of detail you put into this, because it really helps understand where the money's going for these projects and where it's coming from. So I definitely appreciate it. The one thing I did notice is your budget in the line by line seems pretty consistent from last year, but there was like about $100,000 difference in like the consulting services. Is that like for a project, or where does that come from?
So we used to carry consulting services separately as a line item. Now it's just in operations budget.
Right.
It just makes it convenient for us, because their unknown need comes up in our daily work here.
Right.
So that's why the $100,000 has been moved into the engineering from that.
Okay.
for
Was
that.
that like maybe for like the comprehensive plan or something like that, that we added additional?
No, for example, we come up with some traffic study, or we need some geotechnical data need to be gathered, things like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? So Kashid, just broadly, since we're just talking, we've had this conversation, you, George, and I. There's grant writers, and then there's grant writing. And clearly, you have been successful working with some of your other consultants to get the grant writing done. So I guess the broad question for staff and then for the board is, what else do we need to do to keep chasing this, right? I mean, because I think we're heavily involved in the COGS, we're going after a lot of different grants, but just, do you have the bandwidth and capacity to make sure we're chasing these dollars, because they're significant?
The proposed budget includes another engineer for Rashid's department, not only to manage all the projects that they're doing, but exactly that is, there are grants out there, and as Trustee Leaflet said, you have to find them, and then you have to stay on top of them. And like, we're going to be successful with some of these IDNR grants for the flood mitigation. It's work, and there's only so much bandwidth. So I think having that extra set of hands is going to help them out.
Justin, good.
So thinking back, the outreach coordinator, I thought that was going to be one of his additional responsibilities, was out there to search for grants and to build some of those relationships to get money.
And he is doing that.
Okay, so no, I mean, because, yeah, I mean, I think Kershid is probably one of our sole sources of grant success, right? Give or take a couple other ones. So having someone else doing that would probably take a little bit of the load off of him, so he could focus on, things like development services, engineering, and things like that.
And Rashid and his team are working on the technical elements of it. Is that me? Am I doing that?
Yeah.
You were getting too comfortable in that chair, George.
I know, it's a very comfortable chair. So he's working on the technical elements, but we also know that it's not just the technical, it's the people. And there are the networking that has to occur. I don't think that that's a coincidence that we got the $30 million on the 143rd Street extension.
Right. Okay, thank you.
So, Amir, I just wanted to say last thing is, on record, that with questions, I finished in 20 minutes.
Nice. I guess just, anybody mind a 5-minute break? At least we can stand up. Do we need to recess? You want motion to recess?
I move for recess. Second. 5 minutes.
There's a second. There's a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
How long are we doing this?
Who
5
seconded it?
5 minutes?
10 minutes. Leafblad and Katsinas.
Okay. Trustee Leafblad? Aye. Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Lawrence?
Aye.
Trustee Lawler?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Dutch?
All right.
Trustee Lawrence.
Aye, here.
Trustee Lawler. Here. Trustee Leafblad. Trustee Healy.
Here.
Trustee Katsinas.
Here.
Trustee Malani.
Here.
Mayor Dodge.
Here. You getting the microphone again, Chris?
It's my show tonight.
All right, let's just push on.
I gave you enough numbers earlier tonight, so I thought I'd just kind of do some highlighted accomplishments for the current year, and then next year some initiatives for next year. But to Trustee Malani's question earlier about budgeting within within the departments, finance, as you know, is mostly salaries and administrative expenses. So if there's anything, I'd say we did reduce contractual consulting. In last year, we had GovHR, we had a contracted employee there assisting us with catching up with some audits. We did let him go back in March last year, and then we continued with another outsourced accountant, Bob Grogan. So he continues on this year. We have him doing specific, different type of projects and also internal audits too. So to kind of keep ourselves on our toes too. And it's always good to have good support when we bring it to the auditors the next go around, and they see that we're doing our due diligence and making sure our processes are, internal controls are tight and doing well. So for 2025, our accomplishments this year is we did go live with Tyler Cashiering. That was live the end of June 25. That went along with the EPL go live with Development Services. The Tyler utility billing, that is actually we're expecting that to go live on December 15th. We pushed off the go live a couple times. We just want to make sure that the conversions, all the conversions, all the setup is done correctly, and that all the proper balances will be rolling over to the new system accurately. I like to keep tooting the same horn that this year we completed the 2023 annual comprehensive financial audit, and as well as the 2024 on time. So it was on time. We did request the 2-month extension. We were within that extension. So we are in good standing, proud to say. And on that note, we did just do the credit rating, and we are at a AA+ credit rating with S&P. The next bullet is, we will successfully issue bond series to the tune of about $38.5 million in par value. And then we're expecting to receive the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. Oh, we did receive that for 2025. And then I also have recently applied and expect to receive the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting with the GFOA. So looking forward to that. It'll be a few years since we got that. So, and then for next year, looking to hopefully with 2025 achieve the GFOA Triple Crown winner award. That consists of the annual comprehensive financial report, the budget award, as long as the popular annual financial report, which is kind of an abridged version of the 25 audit. And then we plan on implementing certain features within our Munis financial software. We've been pretty busy with all this implementation. Munis financials went live in 2022 as we've been doing a lot of cleanup, catching up with audits and stuff. Now we want to actually get into that software and figure out what kind of reports we have at our fingertips and what we can work on improving new reports as well. The next one is about standardizing month-end processing and including monthly, quarterly, and annually checklists. Also want to improve the monthly reports too as well. Include some graphs, some easy reading information that is more useful to us and the public. And then we continue to focus on efficiency and process improvement. So, any questions?
Well, that was it?
Short and sweet. I took an hour earlier, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Trustee Healy?
Chris, I was just wondering, we had signed up the auditors for 3 years of audits. They've completed those 3 years.
5 years.
Is it going out to bid, or we're going to hire, just use them?
We're going to
again?
keep them for 2 more years, the full 5. It was
Okay.
3 years and 2 additional.
2 additional.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chris, can you go back one slide? Because we talked about, I think you mentioned it, so I just want to verify. We've had a couple different conversations with you and the team, in finance, that I think that you said standardized month-end processing, including monthly, quarterly, and your checklist. I think you also mentioned potentially we could do, I would describe it as simplified summaries of, let's say, the revenue flows. So will it get easier for you and the team to kind of do that monthly?
Yeah, right out of the box, the reports are difficult to use out of Munis. But yeah, we do have to, we are already working with IT and getting into the back tables of Munis to pull the information we need to actually build some really good reports.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we don't overcomplicate this, but the idea here is how do we do accurate, easy to understand reporting that we can kind of release through eventually when the future website's done, just to make people understand this is how the Village of Orland Park is doing, especially on a revenue perspective. Expenses can be pretty jagged, revenues are a little smoother.
Correct.
So it's just something that we can add to that list of things we want to get done. George, you and I have talked about this probably 5 times.
So the next stage in the evolution of how we do our reporting, when I came on, we started with we created our monthly report, and that was a process to be able to start getting information from the departments into a cohesive kind of report. So we have the report that the board gets, and then what we did a few years back is we introduced ClearGov. So our budget book is actually through ClearGov. So whenever anybody's looks at our budget, they actually use the ClearGov interface. That also included ClearGov's checkbook module. So for the last couple of years, we have all of our accounts payable is on that. So they have a number of other modules. And now that Chris has the budget manager on board, what we're going to be looking to do now is, like I said, the next evolution is to move from a paper monthly report into that dashboard through ClearGov, so that the entire public can go and search and have that flexibility.
And I guess, no other questions, it's just, we have the budget manager now in your department. Sounds to me like you're through most of the heavy lift with some of the systems migration, but you're never really done with IT. Is that fair, Ted? Right, never really done with IT. Do we feel that you've got the sufficient staffing given the demands on the department?
Yes, at this point, yes, we do.
Okay, so for 26, we should then be in pretty good shape, so.
As far as finance is concerned, yes.
Okay, and then, as you said, just kind of philosophically, let's just use the systems and the processes to get more information out there readily available. So I like the progress. I just want to keep pushing on that one. It's a priority. I don't know if anybody else wants to comment or.
Yeah.
Good?
And along with that too, as we evaluate efficiency of our processes, when we're creating these reports, we're trying to make them so less manual to where we can just kind of push a button and it's produced, so that's a lot of our focus.
It'd be great.
It would be nice.
Just press a button.
Don't we wish? Okay.
It's close to,
All right, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Teresa.
Regina's up next.
Good evening, everybody. So I don't have a lot of the shiny toys and features that every other department has, but my small department is tasked with supporting every other department within the organization and all of the people within it, meaning we support all of the staff who support the community. So some of the things that I'd like to highlight from 2025 is the successful recruitment and onboarding of 426 positions. We did just recently, within the last week, add about 7 more to that number between onboarding someone from Public Works, Recreation, Police. We did onboard someone there. So that number has gone up just slightly. This is the first year for the implementation and village-wide use of Tyler Munis recruiting, onboarding, and benefit administration modules We did use the open enrollment benefit module last year that went very successful. This year we'll be using the IPBC's benefit module. So it was a nice experience to go ahead and configure and implement that. But it gave us a little leg up on moving forward with IPBC and working with them to implement Plan Source. We also successfully finished configuring Tyler Talent Management. That is the performance evaluation module. So we're looking forward to training and introducing everyone to that this year. We also, as usual, collaborate with administration and all department staff to organize and execute various village-wide initiatives and policies. We are diligent in engagement in employee personnel development plans and supporting leadership in building and maintaining positive relationships with their employees, promoting recognition programs of excellence in employee service and longevity, and maintaining efficiency, excellence in service, and high-level work product to meet expectations in spite of our small department workforce. Now, some things I'd like to highlight for 2026, and our budget does reflect that, is to remain focused on compliance, training, and workplace safety. You will see in our budget that we are looking to add a few funds for J.J. Keller. That is our labor posters that are in each building. That's not something that's in our budget every year because when you pay, it's usually a 4 to 5 year subscription. And 2026, we have to pay for the next 4 years. So that is there. We also are excited about partnering with an accredited resource to increase efficiency and transparency in hiring and retaining the most qualified service-oriented professionals. That is the background check, social media monitoring, MVR license monitoring, and continuous criminal monitoring that you so graciously approved for us during the last meeting. We're looking forward to starting that in January of 2026. We will continue to advance an initiative centering on total employee well-being through EAP, our wellness program, etc. As I mentioned earlier, we will be introducing Tyler Munis's performance module in support of simpler feedback methods to evaluate and measure performance. We are excited to increase the internship program participation, and along with that, I would like to include job shadowing for our existing employees because we don't want to forget about them. Some of our part-time employees have been with us for quite a while, or our younger group that's coming in as seasonals, or working at Sportsplex as a Sports Central attendant or building attendant. We like to give them the opportunity to shadow some of our more seasoned professional staff and see if we can't work on a succession plan or something with them, get them more interested in a long-term career that they can be successful at within the village and remain within the organization. We also have added dollars into the budget for the Lead Forward Employee Recognition Program. Last year, and I believe the year before, we siphoned money from the village manager's budget, so thank you, George. But this year, it is contained in our budget, so you will see money added for that. And last but not least, we want to continue to pursue and promote a singular organizational culture, mission, and value system and work toward retention, employee morale, and just the overall culture within the organization. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? It just, I guess broadly, right, just the, do you have the tools that you need and want in place? And how's it going? Because these migrations are tough. And
migrations are tough, but we've been through a few. I have to say, and George, you can back me up, and Jim can back me up on this. When I came back here in 2022, we hit the ground running with Tyler, and then every year it's been one implementation after another, but all for improvement of technology and process and making everybody's life a little bit easier. And we've done it We are continuing to do that now with IPBC. We just finished the performance module on our own, so we've been holding it down ourselves. I have a good team that's not afraid to roll their sleeves up and do some hard work, and we put in the hours to make it work, and I think we're okay.
Got it. And then just, so thank you, right? Just thanks broadly. Do we feel that your customers are all the people who work for the village? And, you know, how do we gather their feedback when we have them interact with a piece
Oh,
of
they
software?
tell me every day. If they don't like something, they tell me. If they like something, they tell me. I get emails, random phone calls. I mean, people, that's the one thing that I actually take pride in with our department. Yeah, we're human resources, and, you know, some people look at us as scary, and you only come to see us when you're in trouble or something like that, but we have a very good relationship with the staff within the village, and they trust us. And the reason they trust us is because we've always been transparent with them. We've given them the bad news when we have to give them bad news. We pat them on the back when they need it, and we're also an ear to listen when they don't want us to do anything but just listen, right? So we have that trust with the staff, and if they don't like something that's going on within the village, they tell us. And I roll that uphill to George and Jim. So, and if they like something, they tell us, and I roll that uphill as well. So I think the crux of our success in the department is that they trust us. You know, the staff trust us, and if they don't, or they don't think something's on the up and up, they let me know. And I'm sure they'll continue to do that, especially after listening to what I just said.
There's now videotape, so there's evidence.
I know,
As
that's
the guy
what I'm
next to
saying.
you would tell you, no evidence, but, and again, thank you. It's just, you know, you're an important part of making it all work, because as George said, we're a service organization, and we're under we are going to put ourselves under constant pressure to increase the volume of what we do and drive up quality and hopefully cut cycle time. So that's why same kind of stylistic questions I've been asking the other departments. People, process, technology, it sounds to me like that's coming together, and that it shows up with what staff thinks of HR and how they engage. Is that fair?
Absolutely, that's fair.
Just
You know, the implementations, it was a constant struggle, but I think we've gotten you much farther from where you were, let's say, 3 years ago.
Yes.
You know, it's night and day difference. And the ISIMs, we finally offer that, right?
We're completely in Tyler, and that's why,
That's gone now.
just speaking of ISIMs, that's why in our
I'm sorry, what
budget-
was that?
ISIMs used to be our recruitment platform.
Okay.
When we
Because it
had-
sounded like some weird, painful disease.
Yeah, no. It was a recruitment.
It was.
It was a recruitment platform that we actually have had since 2017. And,
Oh, that's very modern.
well, that's when we weren't using one system, you know, one ERP system. So we had separate everything. But that's why you're seeing in our budget right now, we're asking for a few more dollars for recruitment strategy, because with Tyler, it's great that everything's in one system, but our postings simply go on our website. And we want to have a broader net, of course, to be able to advertise, you know, on Indeed and ZipRecruiter and things like that outside of the normal professional organizations that we normally do.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking for the money for that, but now you no longer have to pay the ISIM subscription.
Exactly.
Either. So it's
Exactly.
nice to finally get that off the books, because
Exactly.
I know it was a headache, but it worked. It did
Right.
its job, right? But now that you have something else that you can use, I think that's
Right.
better. And to go back with the morale, culture, and understanding when things are going bad, I think we're planning on doing another, what's the?
Q12.
The 212, V12?
Q12.
V12, yeah.
V12?
We'll do a V12,
Whatever it is, assessment. So, you know, we'll be able to see where we were on the last one and how we've progressed. So I think that'll
Right.
give us a good picture, so.
Absolutely.
So, well, thanks
Ted.
for doing what you do, because we wouldn't be able to do anything without you. You know?
Thank you very much.
Ted, did you want to jump in here?
No, I was just saying with the ISIMs, that was nearly $50,000 a year just for that one piece of software. So us moving into Tyler covered all of that cost plus anything that she saw. It was a good thing to get off of. 'cause
And
of
we
the
were only
cost.
using a small part of it.
Right,
Right.
so.
I just want to agree with what the Regina said. HR is scary.
There you go.
That's what I got out of that.
The real power in the universe. Yeah.
Hey, I just bring the fun, that's all.
Yeah.
No, appreciate it. Good?
Yeah.
Good. We're, Tad's next with IT.
George, are people going to keep abandoning us as they finish their sections, or you want?
They're more than welcome to abandon us, but only when they're done.
All right. Tad, you're going to solve every problem with artificial intelligence by mid-next year, right?
Yeah, So,
It's all yours, Tad.
no, my presentation was completely done by AI.
Can we get
It wasn't. So, just real quick, go over some major highlights that we had for this year. You've heard a lot about the Tyler deployments. Yes, we have been part of all of the Tyler deployments, utility, enterprise permitting and licensing, cashiering, utility billing go live. So as we finish those up, our department's going to shift from deployment mode to process improvement mode. So, and we've already started that with some stuff with finance, with Chris, and trying to develop reports. We're working with Steve in Development Services on how to do better with the permitting and licensing, how to make it quicker for residents, getting more of the systems automatically putting it in to make it easier for Development Services to turn around these permits. So that's really going to be our next focus. Utility billing, we're still, like I said, we're still going through with that. This year, we helped with the police department getting their police training facility. We put direct fiber to there, so we're not running on carrier fiber. It's on our own backboard, as it is a emergency dispatch center. We need to make sure that that has everything it's needed to be, so in case we ever need to use it as emergency dispatch, it's there, and we have that working with them. Windows 10 went end of support October 14th. We had to upgrade all of our PCs to Windows 11 this year.
Aliens.
George, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So we completed that, so that way we can keep our environment safe and secure. In an audit, we're doing a cybersecurity audit again this year. It'll be done by the end of the year. We do this every other year to make sure that we are operating safely and securely, and work through all of the issues that are coming up. It's a moving target, keeping us safe, and so we want to make sure that we are as safe as possible. For 2026, we have some major initiatives. We are increasing our security event monitoring a little bit. So this is not to network managed detection and response services. This is not the total increase in price. This is about a $20,000 increase. That is our monitors all of our computers, servers, workstations, everything else, our entry points, exit points. Like on the monthly report, you see a little snippet about what all of the stuff that it catches for us. But we're adding to that additional event logging. So if a person gets into our network, we have an incident, the key to finding out how and actually potentially preventing it is through event log monitoring. And so it's an automatic event log monitoring that flags odd things that are going on. They're really expensive and hard to manage, so that's why we want to go with somebody that's managing it for us. Tyler maintenance costs go up every year as we add more modules. That's not free, but we are adding modules, but as we get rid of modules, we're able to start reducing costs in other modules and standalone things that we've had out there. Our enterprise license software for Microsoft, we just signed another 3-year contract with them. It went up slightly, plus then we added some Copilot licensing to it, so that went up a bit more for that. We're going to put an RFP out for document scanning services. Right now, we have a lot of paper. We have a lot of paper in development services, engineering, and HR. We'd like to get those into a searchable, easy finding system instead of them spending hours down in the basement searching for documents. We want to build that. That's going to be a multi-year plan really to get that done, just for how much we have. We want to replace the core switch at PD this year. We did a complete network refresh of all of our switching gear, but the PD core wasn't end of support when they did that, so we did not replace that switch. We replaced all the other switches. Now we need to do the PD core switch as its end of support. And then we've got a lot of money in here for AI services. We are going to do everything we can to optimize everybody's workflow, and looking at that, AI is one of the tools that we're going to use to do that. And then we've been brought up a couple of times about our website, complete redesign, along with ADA support. So our website was redesigned in 2023, but we're getting a lot of feedback from residents, from people, that it's really not written in a way that makes it easy to find information. So we want to look at how we can define it better, make it easier to find information, plus it be ADA compliant. So that's it for me.
Any comments or questions? Mike?
Mr. Chairman. Two things. One, yeah, back to the website. So we'll be using the same platform that we're using?
We're going to go out for RFP. So right now we're on Granicus, and I'm going out to see, they might not be the best solution for us.
Right. Yeah, because I remember we did a bake-off on that, a few years ago, and we ended up with who we ended up with, and I feel like there was more work involved in building it than needed to be. It seemed very convoluted and complex when they went through the redesign, and improvement from our previous website, which was really bad. But yeah, I think like searchability is like one of the things that I find, like if you go to try and search for something on our website, you're more than likely not going to find it. But if you know how to navigate the menus, you'll find it.
Right, but as a person that's in, a person that knows how we work, it's easier for us. But for a resident,
Right.
they don't understand what each department does and where they're going to find it. So we
Right.
want to make it easy for them. We are also looking at putting a potential AI chatbot in there that can help us find it as we get to the point where we're going to, and that won't be wasted energy building that, because it's going to be referencing fields and stuff. You know how
Yeah, you could do
those
like
built.
like a RAG use case or something, and
Right.
be able to retrieve, augment, and generate. There we go.
Thank you, Mike.
The other question I had for you was the GIS services. We ended up switching to outsourcing on that. Has that been working for us?
That has been very beneficial to us, because they also, besides, they support some of the infrastructure, but they do a lot of project work for us. So as we did the migration, one of the things we had them do is like reviewing all of our parcels. They understand this information better than any of us. And so they're able to go through and fix problems that we have. We're in the process right now. One of the things that we were talking about with Development Services, Public Works, and Rex, we're bringing up is, like, again, with our website, they develop all of our overlays. So if you go to our GIS services, you can see certain things, like our snowplow mapping and our parks and what's available and things like that. But they're separate modules. And they're separate modules because Public Works has some work going on and engineering has work going on, but people don't understand that engineering work is even though it's roads, it's an engineering project, not a public works project. We have them in two different spots. It doesn't make sense to have them in two different spots.
Sure.
So they're helping us build those modules that we just don't have the internal expertise to do.
So overall, it was a good decision, and we're probably going to stick with it.
Yes, I would highly recommend staying with them.
Great, thanks.
And I think, just to piggyback on that, I mean, I think Trustee Malani may remember, this was really overnight. We were able to put in place a sophisticated GIS system. What we had in the past was just a disaster. And Gewalt Hamilton, who's that consultant, they did such an incredible job for us. And it's something we don't think about, but it exists.
Well, one of the big advantages too is that if we brought this back in-house, we'd have to fire a GIS expertise. But they're going to be focused on one thing. If, Gewalt, we have something that we need done, they bring a different engineering for that piece that's focused on that piece. So we get it done quicker and cleaner than if we had it in-house that was a generalist.
Any other comments or questions? Ted and I, we've had a number of conversations, and Mike, to kind of pick up on the thing with the website, clearly there's just redoing the website just because it needs to be done. But the idea of adding the capability so that someone could ask in natural language, do I need a permit? Well, that's an easy one to program, yes, right? But we just make it kind of just the customer experience, I'll use that phrase, it's as good a one as any, which is when somebody comes to the website, if you want compliance and you want something to go through the processes, you apply for a job, get a roofing permit, do these 8 steps, and the machine will auto issue the permit in a perfect world, right? There's just a whole bunch we could do with this, so this is a big part of it. So it's one of the reasons why we've got a little bit of a healthy experimental budget, plus your intern. I think we can get a lot of use cases, like we've talked, done next year. This would be a pretty important proof of concepts. So,
Absolutely.
thanks, Ed.
Chief, take it away.
I'll touch base with that at the end of my slides here. But I just want to go through some of the highlights in 25, and we've got a bunch of stuff going on. I continue want to highlight our low crime rate. We're trending the same as we were last year. We're actually down 6% right now on the crime statistic report to the state. The new training facility, EOC Backup Dispatch, opened in July of 2025. Officers are using it. In the budget, we do not reference any of the revenue that we're looking to generate from the training facility. I've been in contact with multiple agencies, probably daily, on trying to get some agreements done to get some use out of it. One of the big highlights in 25 this was a vision in 2024, at the end of 2024, that we came up with. It was big out West Coast, drones as first responders, and what this is there's a docking station at the police department. There's a drone that's integrated with our CAD system. Will be integrated with our CAD system. Right now, we can launch it. If we have a call for service, we can launch it. It'll arrive quicker than an officer and provide oversight. And because we dispatch for ourselves, our dispatchers will be able to self-dispatch that to the scene and provide live video to the officers. The officers can view it in their squad cars. It's a very, very neat project. We're the first agency in Cook County to have it. I think there's only 3 in Illinois, 1 in Lake County, 1 in DuPage, and us being in Cook County. So very proud of this. I see this as a wave of the future. I see more of these being deployed in different suburban departments, fire departments, to basically cover their entire village. So very happy with this. Couple more things, highlights in 2025. At the end of 2024, we renegotiated our taser and body camera contract, and we upgraded some of our less lethal taser 10s. So we have all our officers trained in taser 10s, and we just received notice today that we received a grant for 6 additional taser 10s. So that is forthcoming. Our upgraded radio project, going digital, expected to go live in November. This has been a long time project. Better coverage in building and outside of building throughout the village. They did a lot of testing. We can communicate with interagency, other agencies around us, whether they're on digital or UHF or VHF. It was one other thing I wanted to talk about. So with this radio project, we built in a LTE function to where if for some reason our radios go down, it'll go to a cellular. So the officers will never be without a radio. It'll be the radio and basically having a cell phone. So it's a great addition to that. The RAP squad cars, we came up with those mid-year. Great for community engagement, recruitment. We actually took our military squad to a Lamont car show, and we took first place with our 1963 squad car that Mike DeLilly has, and second place with our military squad. If we had to pick one, we would have taken third too, but we didn't have that one ready at the time. Some initiative for 2026, we're expanding on our drones project. We're looking to get a drone tether. That's the one increase that you'll see in the budget. It basically remains the same as last year with one increase for the drone tether. And what this is we'll be able to put a drone up at any of our special events to where we can monitor rooftops, constant power to this drone. Because we do have a lot of events, it's a good tool for our officers to have. And then we're looking to get with some asset forfeiture funds to equip maybe one or two of our police vehicles that would be drone ready to where they can control the drone from a computer in the squad car, and also have a TV monitor in there to view it. So one of the initiatives for 2026. And then we spoke earlier, our 12-hour shifts for patrol. We're looking to increase the full-time officers from 101 to 109. Currently, we're allocated 101. We haven't had any increase for almost 20 years. In 2004, we were allocated 99. And I know that in 2004 or 2000 to current, I think our population has increased by almost 10,000. We've had numerous businesses, residential areas that have been developed, and we remain with the same number of officers. It's getting busier out there. On the midnight shift, there's only 8 officers working and a supervisor at sometimes. And for a town as big as Orland, in my opinion, we should have more officers on the street. Those 9 or 8 would include a lieutenant. The 12-hour shifts, you need two teams to work the day shift from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and 2 to work the nighttime 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So currently we have 3 lieutenants assigned to patrol. We would need an additional lieutenant. So that's where that lieutenant comes in. The additional sergeant is a training sergeant to utilize that training facility. They would be in charge of scheduling any outside agencies. That sergeant, we have one officer that is a master trainer. He is probably one of 4 police officers in the entire state of Illinois. He's been to training throughout the country, and we would utilize him to train our officers on these 12-hour shifts. We would be able to use the training facility, that's what it's there for, and build on our department being the best trained officers in the state. We're also looking to add a full-time Axon redaction clerk. Every day that I view the FOIAs, there are 2, 3, 4, 5 FOIAs for body camera video. And right now, we have that distributed over, I would say, probably 2 FTEs that are doing that work, that we added that onto their daily jobs. So this is definitely a need. You see it throughout the south suburbs and north suburbs. Once the state enacted the body cameras, all these departments started hiring redaction clerks because it is so overwhelming, the amount of FOIAs that are coming through for these, along with some of the other videos that we have.
Chief, quick, this is one of my pet issues is not so much the FOIAs or the body cameras. It's people who are trying to use this ultimately for their commercial purposes are foisting a cost on us. If you said this is what, 2 FTEs?
Right.
So round numbers, call it $250,000 a year between salaries and benefits if you had 2 FTEs doing this.
Right.
And so I just think that, George, just as a policy statement now, just keep pounding IML, and when we're meeting with our state legislators, it's like, you guys got to do something about this. Either give us the right to charge fees for people that are not directly involved in a case, because this just feels like it's a cost being foisted on us that we have no recourse on. Drives me crazy.
Right.
I'd rather give you another $250,000 for more things in policing than redaction. I don't know if any of the board agrees or any comments on that one.
Yeah, I actually have a question on this. We have one FOIA person now, right? Or are they kind of doing 2 duties?
So we have one FOIA person, but they don't do anything with body cameras.
Okay, so
It's all documents.
Okay, so this new person would be just body cameras.
Right.
And were we going to talk about the PIO officer, or is that just included in?
We could talk about it. I didn't put it in there, but a PI officer is in there. We've had discussions on whether that would be somebody we currently have that would be a supervisory position. Or we would get a new officer to be a PIO. It's a very difficult position to be in, the PIO, so, there's a lot of training and experience that comes with it. It's not, you just can't hire a new officer and then have them be a PIO. It'd be somebody who's definitely trained and has the experience.
Yep. No, I'm kind of familiar with the whole idea of the PIO and what they do. I guess, so we don't have anybody really acting in that role now. I mean, I know we have our communications department, we have the outreach, but so the public knows the PIO is much different than that.
Right, so currently in our policy, our PIO is our Commander of Investigations, right? Well, with the PIO, you want to be able to make sure that that person's being constantly trained on the duties of the PIO, right? It's spread across the investigations division when it comes to any social media posts. When we get something that happens at midnight, I'm getting a phone call at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm calling a sergeant at 1 o'clock in the morning to throw something up on social media to alert the public. It'd be nice to have a PIO, somebody who's dedicated to providing that information to the public along with their other duties.
Yeah, and it's more than just social media too. I mean, they are the face of the police department. So if the media decides to come to us, they're probably going to go to that person or you, right?
Right.
You're the other face. I mean, they might be prettier face, but whatever. But they would be the face of the village and the face of the police department, right? So it's yeah, you definitely want to have the right person for that.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely think it's someone with a lot of experience and a lot of training, because they will be the face and voice of Orland Park if there's an incident at who knows what hour of the day with a lot of media in front of them.
Right.
So it matters.
And if FEMA ever comes back online with their training, this person would have to go through, PIO training and make sure that they're, up to speed and certified, right? So
Right, there's numerous PIO training that's out through the FBI, LEDA
you can
training.
do it there too.
Right.
Very good. And I guess one more question, the 12-hour shifts, and I'm going to throw this over to George. When we talked about doing the organizational assessments, and we decided to do the police department and the village as a whole, one of the outputs of that was mentioned, the possible of changing and making 12-hour shifts or keeping it the way we are today. So I guess, because we're bringing that to the board next meeting, and I believe that has a trial basis on it, right? So we could go through this assessment and find out that maybe that's not the right way to go, and we could always go back, right? I mean, this is a trial basis based on the agreement, right?
Right, the 12 hours is a trial basis, but we do need the officers, whether you're on 12-hour shift or 8-hour shift, they're still needed for this town because we have not increased our staffing in so many years, and we have so much going on.
Right.
But trustee Milani, you're right, this is a one-year agreement. And so the timing actually works out really good because we will be in the 12-hour shift schedule while we're undergoing the org assessment. So we are going to be getting real-time feedback, or the assessors will be getting that real-time feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, like I mentioned last week, it's like as long as we're monitoring the things we should be monitoring, like, tiredness, alertness, health, are they having problems at home because they're home too long now? We want to make sure we, so all those are things are, people have to adapt to change, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of different factors here. So as long as we're monitoring those.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thanks, Chief.
All right, everyone get ready. Public Works.
Good evening. To kick it off, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the front office. We have 8 folks in the front office. The budget is pretty static. It's predominantly labor, about $20K of just supplies and so forth. One thing that we've been talking about for many years is just making sure people are budgeted to supporting water functions. So there was some adjustments to take a low percentage of some of the front office people to support water functions. And that includes some people here in the Village Hall as well. because you are touching water, discussions, reviews, and all that stuff. So in the water account, we did adjust a little bit of, just a sliver of time for different individuals, but it adds up overall. And so, water percentage of the people is 2.6 out of the 8, and then the just regular account is 5.4. With that, the front office, really, I would like to touch on a couple things. One is really the touch with the residents. So that's work induction. That includes putting out notifications to the residents, creating the flyers, getting that out to our projects so that they're notified and so forth. And also just answering any kind of scheduling for a PACE program that we have. They do all the PACE bus service in the front office to schedule their appointments. So that's one touch point. The other thing is safety training. Public Works does a lot of things risk-wise, and so they track all our training is required, and we do that with monthly training, so that's very important to us. To tie into a TAD, we do have the only GIS tech in our organization. He's an outstanding employee, and he does all our updates for our utilities, drawings, and so forth. Also, he does a lot of the right-of-way permits. That includes all those fibers going in. So it's a huge effort for him over this past year, but he's doing an outstanding job doing that. So that's very important. He works with GAHA and TAD on the GIS committee. So, and then the last one on here, which is kind of FOIAs, which we get some, but also claims, insurance claims. So cars, people, they bust things in the village. They have accidents. Please let me know about them. And then we have to do the fixing of those things. And so then we process the insurance claims and by getting how much costs and so forth, and then we fix those things. So the front office does a lot of other things. You can read them all, but they do a lot of great things. All right, so I'm going to jump into natural resources. Natural resources and facilities, they maintain our buildings, parks, grounds, and trees. And so they have 4 accounts. So it's a little confusing sometimes, but they track them all. The 108 is the general fund. The 208 is really rec of buildings and so forth. And the 3100 is the parking garage, and 55 is the metro stations. So we are required to maintain the metro stations for any kind of maintenance, so forth. But major capital, we would work with metro station. Parking garage obviously is pretty new, but it's starting to need some maintenance now. And so this year, we do have some projects for that. So overall, across those 4 categories, we got in the budget about $5.3 million in our maintenance of our facilities. That's service contracts, utility costs, finishes, doors, MEP kind of work that happen in those buildings. Those are just to maintain the buildings. So custodial services, that kind of thing, or fire alarm tests, or elevator tests, those kind of things in the facilities. Ground maintenance, we have about 2.18 across those 4 accounts. I'd like to make a note that we did reduce our tree maintenance that we had in previous budgets because we're doing the pruning that we brought to you. So that helped offset some of that cost. So you guys asked us to make sure we checked on that, so I just wanted to follow up with you guys. Playgrounds and pavilions. Based on the capital plan, we're actually reducing. We were doing about 5 before, and we're now getting into the glide scope where we have 3 and 2, and it gets down to a couple more years, and there'll be even less after going forward after that. So that was all part of the plan that we approved in the capital kind of overarching vision, because we got about 29 playgrounds already finished, which out of 56, that's over half. So the condition told us that we can start, getting a little less because of the condition assessments that we did. So those are listed. Sushler, we're just tracking that with that project about to kick off. And there might be some costs that slide into next year. because winter is coming on us. I don't know if everything will be finished in time, but. And then I didn't list, but there's smaller projects in those 4 categories, and I just kind of totaled up all those projects. They're all in the budget if you want to see them, but pretty straightforward. And that's
Hang
it.
on, Joe, just a quick question, maybe more for Chris. So facility maintenance, grounds maintenance, clearly that's an OpEx, not a CapEx, correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
Some of these other projects down here are capital expenditures because you're putting, so I just, this has always been a back and forth discussion. So when you're replacing a pavilion, the new equipment is a CapEx. If you're maintaining a park, it's OpEx.
Correct.
Just so we're,
Yes.
I want to work our way towards a fairly well-defined definition of CapEx and OpEx because we've never used debt for operating expenses. It's capital, but there's that squishy art of what you really want to call capital.
Correct, yes. We always associate our debt with specific projects. Yes, so anything else would be a transfer into capital, so.
Yeah, and I
But
wouldn't
it would
mind.
never be debt towards any type of maintenance.
Sorry, Chris, I spoke over you there, but I wouldn't mind when we get ready to release the full budget document, if there's anything on the website that a simplified, fit for human consumption definition of OpEx and CapEx and how we think about these things would be helpful for the public consumption.
Sure.
Yes, example, in one of the PD projects in 1008, we're replacing the generator and transfer switch at the police station. So, that's an example of a project that we need to do or an upgrade to his fire system. So, yeah, we got a good focus on some improvements at PD in their existing building. Okay. Because I can't fit it on the other slide, NERF has, Natural Resources and Facilities has a capital list, and this is their capital list for this coming year. The CPAC and Orland Health and Fitness are 2 projects that are very important to do this year, plus the HVAC in this facility. The Orland Health and Fitness was initially planned in '27. We pulled it forward to kind of line up with the other project. Both are IDPH, but we slid portion of the public works back a year, to kind of offset it, because we understand there's not a huge money tree to just keep on pulling things forward. So we did a little offset there. And then you can see, some of the things that we also are planning on. Yeah. If there's any questions, I will move on.
Any questions on this? Numbers or projects?
Okay. Okay, the next division is street division. I've listed both the operation, which is above, and their capital below in the second paragraph area. One of the newer ones is we've identified that there's a gap in our street light GIS information where we know where the power's coming from, we know where the street light is at, but we don't know exact routes, and so we want to find that gap to do this survey there. Some of the other stuff is pretty standard, we do every year. I'd like to note that we did talk about personnel, the 3 personnel, and I highlighted that category that usually we are tracking for some repair work, for concrete work is that line item, and it's much higher usually. We reduce that number to account for the personnel to do it in-house now versus outsourcing. And then from overall capital, the neighborhood program of $6 million, that was part of our plan to do $6 million for the next 2 years. Then it drops down. It drops down to about $4 million after that. If you guys, I don't know if you guys.
When does it drop down?
In 2 years. Not next year would be the last 6 year, and then after that it'll drop down to $4 million range because we really want to do mill and overlay. We're getting out of the neighborhoods that needed a new profile. The depth was a smaller depth, and we have to do the full depth, and that costs more to rip everything out and then establish those. And then ball field lighting is a program. We at Centennial, we did John Humphrey last year, and it's awesome. You know, it's night and day compared to what, for the experience for the fields. At Centennial, we did one field and then we went back to John Humphrey, and now we're back to Centennial. And then we have 2 more fields after that, and just 1 field per year is the plan.
Quick question on
Yeah, go.
the road improvement.
Yes.
You know, the plan was to do the 6 million to take care of the ones that were in dire need, right? You know, those were the heavy lifts. And now you're saying we'll be going down to about 4.
Correct.
Eventually, this will be maintenance mode for a while but more of a, I should say, escalated maintenance schedule, unlike it was before, right? You know, we'll kind of stay on top of things so we don't let things deteriorate to where they were. So
correct.
the costs will remain somewhat stable for a while. We might have a certain place where we have to spend a little more, but this should taper off even lower than 4 million eventually, right?
Well, because of the size of Orland, I don't think we'd see it drop below 4 million because it's the square footage of asphalt. And so it may cost to do more roads more in the future anyways, you know, with inflation. So it's probably 4 going forward, but the same amount of area that we're doing currently because it's a mill and overlay.
Right.
So you could do more area, right, to match what we're currently doing today.
Right.
That's the goal. And
So we should never have to get back up to where we're spending $6 million again,
Correct.
unless cost of materials goes up
Yes.
exponentially.
And we'd like to show you, as when we do the next scan, we'd like to show you the historical scans over the past 15 years. You could see how how it's changed over time. It's the right step, and you want to stay and maintain that level going forward after that, if all possible.
We'll bring that forward in a future perspective because
Yes.
big chunk of Orland was built in about the same timeline.
Right.
They're evolving standards on everything, and then things have a habit of aging out.
Correct.
So it's as we get through this effect of the second hump, which is the cost was building it X number of decades ago. Now we're in the hump to replace and remodel. And then we're creating a hump for some future board 20 years down the road when all these roads age out. And then, typically we take what, 6 months? How long do we take this debt for? 20 years? Which is about the life cycle of the asset. So it's a never-ending cycle with a town
Never.
like Orland.
You never stop, unfortunately.
It's like IT, you're never done.
I'm never done.
You've been quiet for a while, Ted.
That's the cycle we do. We assess, we plan, we execute, we reevaluate, we assess, plan. It never stops, that circle in public works. I told that at the Citizens Academy, and they were, anyways. And then, we're also looking at just we have a lot of the horizontal at the west and, the east-west roads in the program for STV funds that you heard that Krishid has gotten after as well. We had done 94th Ave many years ago with STP funds, with our grants. We were finishing all the designs, and now those are in the program. So when those grants come through in a couple years, but we're looking at north-south. And so we're looking at west in Ravinia and then maybe in Woodcook Road in a couple years from now. Those are the main north-south. The other north-south ones are Cook counties and IDOTs. So, all right.
Can you just go back to that one slide? I just want to highlight the street traffic sign replacement program. So now we're in year 5, I would imagine, of that program.
Yes, we're halfway through, yeah.
So some street signs are still the black and white, and then some have the gem on them.
Correct.
And the standards that are put out by whatever that is.
And UCD.
Yeah. So that every 12 years, the reflectivity has to be recertified. So we can go ahead and spend a lot of money to recertify all these signs, or what we can do is we've put it on a rotating 12-year program. It ends up being cheaper. So if residents are asking, I still have the old black and white signs, well, eventually we're gonna get to that. We just didn't want to do everything in 1 year because then we have that problem. So they do that with all of the street signs. And then there's also, and I would imagine you're gonna talk about the fire hydrant painting too, where it's a cycle.
Yep, we slowly getting through those. So we're not only doing the street sign, but also the traffic, the stops, the yields, those kind of signs. So these are real quick ones. It's 108 is our, sorry, double check. Did I hit? Oh, okay, so our PACE program is very small. It's 2 part-timer drivers. There's very limited costs. But for the vehicle and equipment, we have over 50% of this fuel for the cost. It's about 1.5 million and then the labor for the mechanics. So fuel is the big chunk. I just highlighted a couple other larger ones that we do have in the budget. From a capital perspective, it's about replacing our fleet at an optimal cycle, but we're also reusing police vehicles. So we can get some more time on those vehicles. And so we have 1.32. We did account for potentially the additional vehicles that chief needs. And then also we get a man lift, stump grinder, and deck trailer. So 2 million for capital. Okay, so water is the last division. So water is really broken into 4 subcodes. Admin, which is all the personnel. We talked about that with the additional folks from a personnel perspective. The admin really is about the vehicle replacements that we need in there, and then we'll link up with Tad for the scanning of drawings, because a lot of the drawings Public Works has as utility drawings, and we will link up with his efforts with that as well. And then concentric and SCADA replacement. This is for our main pump station. In water, so these accounts have both capital and operating because it's a business account. So what we have listed here is both and so I listed the larger projects. We're going back to Crystal Tree. We did about 50% of the Crystal Tree before for water lining. So we're gonna go back and finish it. We moved away because we had to hit a couple neighborhoods where the roads were deteriorating so fast. We had to get the water mains first done and the storms done, right? So we stepped away from Crystal, did those subdivisions, now we're returning. And there's a little bit of Westwood Ave that we're doing some replacement. It's tied to the feed, but we had a lot of water main breaks there. So, and then we have interconnect at 151st with Illinois. American Water is the acronym. This is about a connection point where if we need water in emergency for redundancy, we can tap from them, or vice versa. They may need water because they're in emergency, and we can sell our water to them for a brief period of time. Main pump station, we replaced 1 pump 2 years ago. We're doing another one this year. We have some security upgrades, a fire panel, some facilities in water there. We always have a water assessment. This is where we're evaluating our flushing and our valve exercising. This is to make sure our system works. This is also because the fire department needs it. So this makes sure all our system works efficiently for that. And we did do a pilot program of a testing. We're trying to find out where the bad mains are. So maybe our water projects can be a little bit de-scoped to only where the bad areas are in the future. So that integrity test is helping us for the future. And then George talked about the hydrant painting program. We're year 5. So that's annually we do. And that's where we break it down to back to metal. We reprime it and paint it. And it can last longer for 10 years versus we used to have some part-timers paint it, and it was like 2 or 3 years later, we're back out there painting it again, so, and then it gets really thick on the fire hydrant, and anyhow, this is a better process, more efficient. And then the last two categories is sewer and storm. Sewer is about infiltration and inflow, because our sewer gets treated in Stickney, and we want to make sure that no extra water is getting into the sewer, so that makes them have to treat it more. So it's a mandate from MWRD that we line and fix our manholes and keep the water infiltration out. We are buying some extra pumps just in case for emergencies, some annual cleaning and televising and smoke test. And from storms, we are storm stewardships. We do have 2 ponds that we do have some shoreline we want to address this year coming up. There's a corrugated metal piping culvert right by Darvin. You might see a little bump in the road, depressed bump that you avoid. Yeah, that corrugated metal pipe is deteriorating, so we're gonna have to fix that. So our plan would be try to time it with Krashid's project if he's doing the circle, so the traffic, but if, depending on his schedule, if it doesn't match, we'll have to do it by ourselves. And Mrs. Spason last year, they did a lot of plug planting recently. They saw them out there in the fields. We're trying to address all the phragmites that have just invaded that whole place. We're trying to reestablish a creek right by the property that just was bought on Wolf Road that helps bring the water across from the west side to the east side, then into the Marley Creek. And that creek has gotten really filled in. So we'll work with Krashid to kind of work with that project to get that done. And then we have Dugan Park, which is a rollover, and then, yeah, that purchase of the bus barn. If there's any questions, that is my last slide. Oh, sorry, I have one more. I forgot about this.
No, you said the last slide already.
This is the last slide. Too late. Motor fuel tax. This is a revolving balance. Every year we get approximately 2.6. It fills up. We do spend that on road-related, because motor fuel tax is used for that, items. We identified 3 things: our general maintenance stuff, which is our salt material and cul-de-sac contractor support, but also the storage facility. So we broke apart the public works site to pay for some of it with the $5 million. We will be putting that to bid here this fall. In about 2 weeks, we can let it, because IDOT first has to show it on their webpage, and then it'll be out for bid. So we'll see what that comes in at. And then Rebuild Illinois, we have to do $1.27 million for their funds. So those are the MFT.
So on this, the 2.6 is the average run rate for revenue per year?
Correct.
So I'm looking at call it 7 million in terms of expenses on this page. So we're proposing to use are we pre-committing, or are you proposing we pre-commit 2.6 a year for a couple of years to pay for this?
We have a kitty
There's a balance
balance
already
before.
What's that balance?
We're using fund balance, it's about $5 million now
in the MFT.
in MFT. And actually, it's actually expected to go down with aren't we done with the rebuild, Illinois rebuild?
This is a one-time expenditure for rebuild, but with the 5 plus the 2.6, you're at 7.6, and we are at 6.
So then in 27, theoretically, there's 2.6 that could go back into a road program as opposed to debt. I just want to get clarity on how you guys are financing these things.
So the 2.6, there's the salt barn is going to be paid with, it won't be bonded. It will be the balance in MFT.
The fund balance and hitting this 2.6, correct?
Correct.
Then in 27, that's behind us.
That's behind us.
So then we'd have a policy decision to say 2.6 goes into roads or another road-related issue.
Exactly. Yep. A portion of that 2.6 goes for salt, contractor support for snow plowing, other.
But it won't consume all 2.6.
Exactly, right.
When we get it, we use it for, the reporting is very stringent on MFT stuff. So if you keep it at general maintenance items, such as salt, and it's very easy. When you get into other projects like the salt, we had to go through quite a hoops.
So I guess just from I'll call it a finance operation perspective, if you got 2.6 of revenue per year, let's just say we're in 27, and we got $6 million worth of road projects. Do we earmark the 2.7 for debt service? Do we just reduce the 6 by 2.7 and only bond 4? What do you guys, what have you done lately, and what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think the alternate, the one, we would reduce this 2.6 by,
Or reduce the 6 to by 2.5 and then
Correct.
only bond out a smaller number?
Correct. Well, yeah, and it's more like 2 million, because once you take out the salt costs and all that.
And we don't have a motor fuel tax per se, correct?
We do not have a local motor fuel tax.
This is essentially our share from state of Illinois?
Correct. Yeah, so the way the state allocates MFT, unlike sales tax is actually point of sale, that municipality gets it. MFT goes into one big pot, and then they distribute it per capita.
Got it. Do we, everything, what's the old joke? The legislature's in session, guard your wallet. So do we, or do you see, or is IML or government accounting professionals or finance professionals, do you see any risk with the state of Illinois coming after yet again more share of revenue that's flown to municipalities? They've done it with, was it LGDF?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
They're not talking about it, and I don't want to give them any ideas, so.
right. Well, it's too late. Now they heard it, and there it goes. But you're absolutely right. When they started tapping into the municipalities, the LGDF, which is essentially income tax.
Right.
Once they started tapping, that was a shock for everybody. Everyone thought that was off limits, but they did it. So could it happen? Of course. Matter of fact, when the Rebuild Illinois program was put into place 4 years ago, there was an increase on fuel tax. The initial, I believe the initial, that technically what ended up happening was they technically reduced the MFT, but because there was a lot more money, we continued to get a decent chunk. But they did actually technically reduce the per capita distribution.
All right, I guess just a quick question for the board, or quick questions for the board is, I guess what I don't like using the phrase earmarked, but is anybody philosophically opposed to thinking about it that way, that motor fuel, I don't know if we've ever made a clear distinction that motor fuel goes strictly for roads. I think we historically have, but I just want to clarify that.
And just another clarifier is state law dictates what you can use motor fuel tax for. So it's very specific.
So we've always, I think we've always done it this way.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that this is the, pardon the pun, the detour for a one-time hit for the salt barn because it's allowed to use that money for a road-related project.
Yeah.
But going forward, this all goes back into local roads, for example, or.
Yeah.
It does.
It's restricted.
It goes back as part of road resurfacing. Most municipalities, as part of this is what they use for their road resurfacing program. So and that's it. So they'll just use MFT, and whatever they have in MFT is how much road they'll do per year.
And that's what we were doing before, which is if we needed $6 million worth of road, you didn't necessarily bond 6. You used this and then bonded the rest. Was that the working
Correct.
policy?
Yes. Yeah, we always apply the fund balance, because with this fund balance, if you don't use it, we have to pay it back to the state. So we always have plenty of expenses between streets, sidewalks, different things like that we can apply it to.
Previously, we had not done many of the road program because you get the low bid, and it's the pre-qualified list from IDOT, and it's the low bid, and you never know what you get from quality-wise. So we've done RFP, and we did a 3-year contract currently, because then we could, make sure we get a good contractor in so we don't have problems down the road. And so just a risk that if that's the idea to use it for road, we could get deconstruction in here and we're stuck with it. because it's let by IDOT, and we have to use their processes. So just something to factor.
No, that's good to know. Thank you.
Ray, take it away.
All right, best for last.
No, the best is village manager's
I
office.
think George is after me, but I do want to thank the board for this opportunity to present our budget next year. And as I do that, I also want to thank all of the full-time and part-time recreation staff that make everything possible. They work incredibly hard to deliver great facilities, services, and events. Recreation also touches a lot of departments. I also want to thank all the department heads and their staff because we're a pretty demanding department. You saw in the presentations tonight how a lot of them have pieces and parts in their budgets that help support us. I want to thank all you guys for your excellent support. One of these days I'm gonna learn to use this. Recreation and Parks has 11 divisions, and you can see them displayed there. That includes 13 funds. You can see 22 full-time staff and a large number of part-time staff, including seasonal, and that's the existing from the previous year without any new staff being added next year. So we deliver a lot of services really with our part-time staff. We depend on them as well as our stalwart full-time staff. Part of our division or department includes the Orland Park Health and Fitness Center, almost 4,500 members. And then you can see we have a robust social media following. Gonna learn one of these days. Some of the highlights in administration here, our biggest expense is the program guide. I think Vince had mentioned earlier, he talked about hard print, and the program guide really is our #1 marketing piece. That's the thing that people turn to most. It is a really well-produced piece and is one of the best publications of Illinois Parks and Recreation Agency in the state. You can see some of the other expenses there. One of the biggest highlights there is the feasibility studies that we will undertake in 2026. One will be for the Performing Arts Center, one will be for Centennial Park West and future programming there, and then looking at a potential of an Eastern Field House. We use ActiveNet for all our registration. We've not been pleased with that. We talk about IT, and it's a struggle with their technology, so we've been exploring other technologies. The ones we've been looking at would fit in that budget number right there.
Ray, while we're here, right, just because there's a couple of big issues up on here, could you or George touch on what we will learn from these feasibility studies?
Sure. So the Performing Arts Center one would help us understand the need and the viability of a Performing Arts Center in Orland Park. And it would touch on the scope of that as well. So, is it going to be something that's very, very large or something a little bit smaller in scope? And what's the demand and the ability to sustain something like that? Centennial Park West, as George and the board has mentioned, was built without any kind of business plan. So we really want to look at, what is the future of Centennial Park West and how should it be programmed to serve our residents and be a good neighbor to those that live in that neighborhood over there. The Eastern Field House would serve residents on the east side of town. We've long heard that there is not any kind of facility over there, a recreation facility on that side of town. Sportsplex is, viewed as very far away. So the Eastern Field House study gives us a chance to understand, is that a viable option to serve on that side of town? And then what that option would look like. Would it be a duplication of fitness? Maybe not. Would it just be sports center? It could be that. We always have a large demand for basketball courts and soccer fields, so it might be that kind of entity that happens there. So that study will help us understand that.
So these are going to be inputs to this board making policy decisions.
Exactly.
About, can we afford it? What do we do with it? What's the math?
Yeah, and of course, it's just money, but once we get the study done, especially something like Eastern Field House and performing arts and all of that, how do we
fund it?
How do we fund it?
Okay.
Yeah.
The Veterans Commission now, we work with the Veterans Commission in a robust fashion supporting all their events. You can see the events on the left side there. On the right side, you can see some of the expenses that the Veterans Commission and Recreation and Parks will support. We're proud of the golf outing. The mayor's golf outing was very successful this past year. The Military Care Package Program, which serves military personnel overseas and abroad. So we're looking at supporting that program in a little more robust way. Queen of Hearts is a successful program, as is the Hometown Heroes Banner program, and then adding additional engravings to the Arapache Memorial. Special events, so special events incorporates the special events division and taste. So those are two separate funds. You can see the number for special events and taste. Each of the events there, that's the cost for each of those events. Trustee Milani, you'll see that we have the barbecue fest in there. So we're actively planning for that on the left side, and I'll highlight that in another screen here in just a minute.
All right, so Ray, just, while we're at it, right,
Yep.
just, okay, that's fine, stay on this page, keep going.
So these are more highlights with the special events division. So the Centennial Park West Concert Series, which last year for entertainment alone was $500,000. So we've reduced that to $150,000. We're thinking of 3 shows. The question will be for the board to help us decide, are those free shows or ticketed shows? So that's $50,000 a headliner, or you could have a headliner that's a little bit more and others a little bit less. We're looking at continuing the concert series on Thursday nights, and so those would be 6 Thursdays at approximately $40,000 total. A new highlight, and George mentioned this earlier tonight, would be a seasonal special events staff that would support all the events, and it wouldn't be more than just summer events, it would be year-round events. So there'd be lead staff as well as rank and file type staff that work the gates and other elements of special events. Machinery and equipment rentals. So that's inherent in special events, so tents, tables, chairs, those kinds of things. Entertainment outsourcing, that's the outfit we work with to hire bands so they have better contacts than we do. And that's only if we reach that level of band. We have quite a bit of reach with bands and different agents, so if we don't go to a higher level, we can save those expenses. The same thing with the stage manager and the artist, security, and runners. So if we're at a lower level band, so for example, when we're doing 7th Heaven American English, we're not really doing all those kinds of things. We're not really having security or runners or transportation or headliner transportation. Marketing next year, we've budgeted $29,600. One of the highlights that we have for next year are porta potty trailers. So we can rent trailers that have men's restrooms, women's restrooms, and ADA restrooms, and these are also air conditioned. So we're planning those for all our big events like the 4th of July, concert series, and some of the Thursdays. More machinery and equipment rentals, and again, these are all the tents, sound equipment, the lights, the tables and chairs, all the different things. We have to even rent lifts, because just for liability purposes, we have to rent lifts for the sound guys to hang lights on the trusses. The Memorial Day event, you can see on the right side there, so those are all the elements that would include bands, food and meals for the cookers of the ribs. We would incorporate fireworks, some fun activities for the families with inflatables. Again, we have rentals, sound equipment that we would rent, and then some awards. The 4th of July, so they got mixed or mingled up there. We're looking at having the best fireworks in the south suburbs, so we've increased that budget for the fireworks, which includes a grand opening and a grand finale, and then as well as the bands and the inflatables that go with that. Taste of Orland Park is one of our best events. As you can see, that photo is from this year. We had over 30,000 people attend, so it was a really wonderful Taste of Orland this year. The wages, you can see the wages, that's part-time and overtime. The headliners for the band, so we talk about drawing people to the taste, and in our experience, restaurants are one draw, but what really brings people to the taste are the bands. So we're planning $150,000 just for the headliners. That gives us an average of about $50,000 per band. So it's in comparison to some of the headliners we had last year, like on Saturday night, we had Tommy DiCarlo and Jason Shupp. Community stage is another set of entertainment, much lower cost. You can see that for $4,000. We are planning for fireworks and the drone show again. Those seem to be a big hit this past year. Some additional family activities during the day, the early hours gives us a nice opportunity to bring families out early. And then we have equipment rentals that we will need support with, so the stage, the tents, sound, generators, all those things that support the event.
Ray, round numbers, what was the revenue from last year?
Oh, gosh, you're catching me off guard, so I don't know. I don't want to just throw it
All right,
around at you.
just get that to the board if you could.
We're budgeting about 130,000.
Of revenue?
Actually, thank you, Chris. I was looking at that yesterday. It was 130 this past year.
Of revenue?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the big successes over the last couple of years has been the Michael Schofield III Sports Complex at Schuessler Park. wildly popular. I was looking at the cameras earlier when I was watching all the other directors go watching the football games out there. So it's really popular on Wednesdays with Pioneer football. We had 1,400 rentals. We will have 1,400 rentals through the end of November, and you can see the breakdown with soccer, football, and lacrosse, both in use and in revenue. So very popular site. You really can't go wrong with turf. The Schussler Phase 2 playground, which is being led by engineering, will include the all-inclusive playground, which has already been purchased and just has to be installed, a half basketball court, a large pavilion, and there'll be landscape enhancements. We received bids last week, and engineering will be bringing that to the board on Monday for approval to award that to a general contractor. So we hope to award that on Monday and then break ground after the contract is ironed out in the next month. This is an OSLAG grant supported project at $600,000. Dugan Park is also being led by engineering. We received 90% construction documents last week, so engineering is reviewing those. Once those are approved, we'll move forward with the final appearance review and approval of documents and can finally issue an RFP for this project. Because of the time frame, I would guess that this won't break ground or any work won't be done until next year. The pickleball courts in the back there have been done, so that second pickleball court has been converted from the basketball court to pickleball court. So we're looking like we're finally going to make some progress there. Pickleball coming to Sportsplex, as the board already knows. So our pickleball community is quite excited. Again, these are projects being led by engineering that Khurshid mentioned. So 4 courts at Sportsplex and 9 courts at Centennial Park, and you can see the budget numbers there. Evergreen View Park is another project we're looking at for next year. Public Works, NRF is planning for the playground and the pavilion over there, and that we've added all these other elements. We have applied for an OSLAG grant and hope to hear about that award in December this year. The Centennial Park Aquatic Center, so again, thanks to Khurshid and his staff for looking at that overflow parking you can see in that blue box there. So what happens at the pool is that overflow parking is used during the summer, but it's also used by baseball and softball. So it gets pretty crazy out there during the summer when you have a hot day. The pool has a capacity of 1,700, and there's only 267 spaces, plus the marina of 112. And some of those spaces are used by our lifeguards. And when you have a shift change with 45 guards on each shift, then you've got 90 more people coming in. And yes, some of them carpool, some get dropped off, but even just staff alone is quite a few cars. So we are in need of dependable parking there. So we're looking at maybe some green initiatives. Khurshid's looking at some maybe green initiatives to make that a little more usable parking space there. Our athletic division has assessed all our assets. We've developed our own internal assessments with grades. And so these are some of the things we're looking at improving next year with $500,000 of operations funds. One of the things to highlight is new in this would be the LaGrange Road irrigation. So irrigation has been handled in-house in the past. We're looking at potentially awarding that with board approval to a contractor because we feel it's a little bit unsafe for Parks and Recreation staff to be out on LaGrange Road maintaining the irrigation there. So if that's approved, we'll move that to a contractor. Otherwise, we'll continue to do that in-house. You can see on the right side of the screen there, the number of field rentals and the revenues that are generated from that, the number of tournaments this past year, and the number of tournaments, that are anticipated for next year. Some of the capital projects that we're looking at for next year include the dugout improvements for fields 1 through 5 at Centennial Park. In this slide, you can see the image on the left is one of the current dugouts, and it's in pretty rough shape. The one on the right is one of the dugouts that is at the John Humphrey Complex. So we would engage an engineering firm to help us design that because it's a little bit different there. At John Humphrey, it's a flat surface. At Centennial Park, there's an elevated platform, as you can see by those railroad ties there. So we want to develop a plan that is sustainable for long term. So we're working on an RFP to get some design and engineering for this and then to do the work in 2026. Other projects planned for next year on capital would be a half basketball court for Eagle Ridge, a feasibility study for the athletic field. So are we using our fields correctly? Are they used to the extent they can be used? Should we do more tournaments? And the big question is, should we do turf? We have competition with turf in New Lenox now. Tinley's developing a complex with turf. So should we move forward with turf? And this will help us make that determination.
Right, on the athletic field question, thank you for answering what we're gonna learn. What parks are we looking at? What facilities are we looking at?
I think we're going to probably look at least for the turf will be for John Humphrey Complex and Centennial Park, but I think we'll look at everything as a whole.
Okay. What are you gonna do for $20?
20,000, yeah, that picture got too big. So Joel's gonna help us put in electrical supply so we can have a better view at what takes place at Centennial.
You get the award for the smallest request of the evening, right? Congratulations.
I'll have to do that more. This is our recreation programs division, just some of the highlights and expenses this past year and revenues this past year as well as next year. So one of the great things about recreation programs, it always operates in the black. So if a program doesn't have enough participation, it gets canceled. So we only run programs where we're in the positive, and so we we always make revenue in this. Now, we saw a little bit of a downturn these last couple of years, and that's partly because of losing the cultural center and working in a smaller facility with FLC, so we're slowly rebuilding that program. We also lost a key leader in our dance program, and a lot of our dancers went with that person. So we're rebuilding our dance program. We just did a buddy day the other day and gained potentially 26 new dancers out of that. So we're doing things to continue to grow our recreation programs. Day camp is one of our bigger programs with large revenues, serves a lot of parents in a lot of ways. So besides the kids having a great time, it helps the parents who are working parents. And preschool continues to be a very robust program. A lot of staff and board members, former board members have had their children in this program, so it's a really viable and well-done program.
Ray, could you go back for 1 second? Just, I'm assuming your totals on the left indicate that we're pretty successful, that you get, like you said, you're operating with, call it $500,000 in terms of, I don't want to say profit, wrong business model, but does it apply universally? Preschool is doing well where it's in the black, day camp's in the black?
Preschool is not currently in the black, but we are taking steps to help it improve. So cutting back on some of the expenses, some of the protocols that we've done in the past that have been out of line, we're cleaning that up. You'll see, or you may not see it, but one of the things we're doing next summer is we've already evaluated our day camp rates, and our day camp is undervalued and underpriced. So we've done comparables with other communities, and we're slowly raising it. And we're doing it slowly because we don't want to hit parents with a $50 increase, even though over the next few years, we need to get to a $50 increase because we're so underpriced. So in the past, we've been underpriced, so we're going to do it incrementally so we don't hurt parents all at once and cause any kind of disruption for parents and their finances, but we're slowly going to keep increasing that day camp so we can at least get to a break-even status.
I have a quick question about day camp. There was a period of time where day camp, for like an extra fee, you could drop off earlier and leave kids later.
Yep.
And it's extra fee for earlier and extra fee for later. Do you still do that?
We do.
Okay, because that's fantastic for working parents.
It is. In fact, we've revamped that a little bit so parents can do it a little more à la carte in the future.
That's fantastic, because I know I myself have used that in years past, and I've thought it was just, I was grateful for it, and so I'm glad that it continues.
Thank you. Some highlights for the Centennial Park Aquatic Center. So this past year, we had over 3,000 memberships, and we always look at memberships and members. So memberships, a family could be 3, 5, 7 people. So over 3,000 memberships, but that equates to over 7,000 members. You can see the majority of memberships are residents as well as the members, but we do sell residents or memberships to non-residents, and so you can see their numbers as well. Attendance this past year was a great year of attendance. We were only open 88 days. That attendance equates to about 990 people per day out of capacity of a pool that's 1,700. So a really good year of attendance. In that attendance, 52,000 of that 87,000 were members, 9,600 were residents, 20,000 were non-residents, but you can see the members are primarily residents, so it really is more residents using our pool. Financially, non-residents are, and I always say this, that one of the ways recreation survives is off the backs of non-residents. Without non-residents, you wouldn't have the numbers to run programs or the revenues to support them. So we charge non-residents appropriately, and we're pretty expensive for non-residents, and we'll be proposing a rate increase for next year, which will be for memberships for residents and non-residents. They continue to pay it, and it's a big part of the support of the pool there.
So Ray, if I did the math right, round numbers from an attendance perspective, 70% of the attendance is Orland Park residents, members, non-members.
That's correct.
And also 88 days at 188 rescues,
That's right.
so 2 a day.
Yes. And that is actually pretty light this year. We've seen years where it's closer to 300. So,
Yeah,
but our
never-
guards, we work very hard with our guards. You know, it's
I've never questioned what we spend on lifeguard training, and I
Right.
don't think we should. Thanks, Ray.
Got a strong finger. Heritage sites, so again, one of our divisions this past year, the Heritage Sites and led by Libby won an award for the Illinois Association of Museums for digital accessibility and community engagement. And this is one of our areas that really involves volunteers. So we have a large volunteer support. They come into the office and help us archive and create history and all the great things that you see that Libby does. They support that. One of the things we're working on now is a postcard time capsule. So we've collected over 2,000 postcards in support of that. You can see the exhibits here at Village Hall and at the Sportsplex, and then the May Day event that we did last year. Some of the initiatives in 2026 is we're going to continue to work on the renovation of the Humphrey House. That has begun and is moving forward nicely. We're going to replace the roof at Boley Farm to sustain that facility. We'll undertake a master plan for Stellwagen Farm so we understand how to best use that and plan for it and improve it in the future. And then we're going to assess our artifacts this year to look at everything we own and the value of those items. Our Special Recreation Division, we're very proud of this division, and you are all invited to the Special Olympics banquet next Thursday. We'd love to have you there. It starts at 5:30, dinner's at 6. Continues to be a great division, serving a lot of our residents and has a high registration. You can see the projected revenues this year and next year. It incorporates a very robust Special Olympics program with winter sports. We just started floor hockey and basketball, and so very active part of our department. They do a lot of getaways, so they just got back from a fall getaway. They'll have a winter one, and they do a summer one, and those are both great for the participants and the parents of the children, where the parents will sometimes go with them, but sometimes we'll use that as a chance to take a break and get refreshed. Our Civic Center is our last division, and our Civic Center really supports everybody in the village, so we do a lot of events there, both in recreation and as a village. So we're over there routinely. We were there last week or a couple weeks ago for the all hands event with the First Amendment training. You can see the projected expenses and revenues and the net for this, both for this year and next year. Primarily, our wages go towards full-time and part-time staff and burden and utilities. Some of the things we're looking at next year, and again, with the help of Public Works and NRF, you can see that for some exterior repairs, fire alarms, and such.
Ray, in your memory, has Civic Center ever operated in the black? I don't recall it has.
I don't think it ever has, no.
I mean, from the time Orland Park first got the Orland Park Metropolitan,
The Civic Center
whatever
the Civic
thing
Center
it was that
Authority,
the
right?
state forced on us. Is it just we don't have enough demand? We don't charge enough for the demand? What's your sense on this one?
Well, now that it's part of the recreation, we use it a lot for recreation, and so recreation's not paying for it. We use it a lot for in-house, so in-house use doesn't pay for it. So when we do a lot of in-house, especially evening and weekend use, that takes away rentals. I think past that, it is really, there's not enough daytime use, I've worked in event facilities before, and they depend on high occupancy. So you want morning events, afternoon events, evening events, and you want to turn those rooms over 2 or 3 times a day. And right now, we just don't have that attractiveness to pull in the business to have that kind of turnover in the facility.
Yeah, and I guess we can have, not tonight, we'll have a broader conversation on this one, because maybe what you can do, just to kind of put it on an equal footing, is if rec was paying Civic Center rates, what would this theoretical revenue look like? Because that would be one part of the answer. What do we want to do with it? What's the business plan or business model for this thing? It's been so just, Ray, we don't have to do it tonight. You don't have to do it in this budget, but let's just pose that question. Because if we're starting to use the space for general recreation purposes, then it's not a $200,000 loss. It's a capital asset that we're using for support of their programs. But let's pose that question.
Okay.
Thanks.
And that was the last slide.
All right.
That's what
I'm out of questions, right? Trustee Malani?
I was, back when the Civic Center board was around, I was on it for a while, and, you know, one of the things we always talked about is like, how do we get that building to generate revenue? And it's like, I think we had a good track. We were starting to get closer to possibly turning a profit, but it was never quite there, and I think that's why the decisions were made to kind of start using it for recreational purposes. So it's like,
Makes total sense, right?
we're using a perfectly good building. We had to move things around because the Cultural Arts Center is gone. I mean, there's running short on space at the Loewe Center. So it was, you know, let's shift things around. And, you know, that was, I think, a good use of it. So, yeah, I think probably, how do we project that loss?
How do you value the usage
say
internal?
It's a loss when it might actually be, you know, a gain for us.
Right. Any other comments or questions on? Thanks, Ray.
This is going to be the longest part. No. So as the village manager's highlight, we have, the village manager's office is a small budget, but, so just some of the ongoing and completed initiatives, we had our newly elected officials onboarding, our Citizens Academy, which is just an incredible success. So we're getting such positive feedback from that. Our intern program, which is paying dividends, and our service delivery review, we've talked about that. That's one of our upcoming surveys that we're going to be doing. So as far as the village manager's budget, the consulting services for the service delivery review is going to be in this budget. The upcoming lobbying contracts are going to be in this budget. And next year, we're planning on doing our next round of POLCO surveys, the National Citizen Survey. So we do these periodically, and next year is the year. We're actually going to do that soon after 26, so we can start that process. I talked about the strategic performance analyst, our intern, and a change that has occurred is the clerk's office is now on its own. It is the smallest budget that we have in the village, but the mightiest. Any questions in the village manager's office? So then now we're really going to be talking about a lot of stuff here. It's the clerk's office. Like I said, it's its own budget right now. Really, the biggest change is with the addition of the clerk coordinator position. The clerk's office does an incredible job with the resources they have. We're still going to be working on the recodification of the village code and eventually land development code. And then they're just going to keep meeting all of the state mandates.
Could you go back? That was fast. Thank you.
One more?
I'm good now. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I just make a comment about FOIAs?
No.
No? I mean, I know the chief talked about FOIAs. but
Microphone.
I looked at numbers.
Microphone.
Oh, sorry. Just to put in perspective.
Still not on.
My mic's not on at all.
There it is.
Oh,
There you
okay. Just to put in perspective, for the police department, they've already, of this year, received 2,633 requests, which last year total, they received 2,589. So they've already surpassed their request amount that they did last year. And for the clerk's office, last year we did 716 requests total. Currently, to date, we've processed 651 requests, so I'm assuming we're going to get close to 800 or 900 requests by the end of the year. So it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Another full-time job, just answering those things.
Well, and, you know, the shift of Bonnie into the office.
Yeah,
It's been
that's very
great to,
helpful.
yeah, it's been helpful for the clerk's office, and it's been good to have her as a resource for Mary in terms of the deputy liquor commissioner.
So that is it for tonight, unless, of course, there's any other questions. As far as next steps, this is our budget workshop. We will, on November 3rd, at the board meeting, we will do our tax levy determination and the resolution to publicly display the proposed budget. So we're on track. We're tracking exactly what we did last year. This is the point where we had our workshop, and then the first meeting, we'll do our tax levy determination. Now, the tax levy determination is a procedural step. It tells what is going to be the maximum property tax levy, and then we don't actually adopt the tax levy until the first meeting in December, which is going to be December 1st. Tax levy and the budget get approved on that day. That's a tentative plan.
George, how do you want, if board members want details or want a deeper dive in a given department or a set of numbers, how do you want the board to come back to you, Chris, at all?
Go directly to Chris. If any board member wants to go and look into any of the line items or wants a greater overview, some board members have already reached out, and Chris is there. He'll give you that access.
Yeah, so I expect to take any feedback from tonight, anything about any specific budget line item changes. I'll continue to track them, like I said earlier, and then in the next couple of weeks, I'll be pushing out another packet. That'll be the proposed, and you'll know what to expect. And during that time, feel free to reach out.
Yeah,
I'm available.
Chris, one of the things you and I have chatted about this, and very short, when we get through the budget process, right, we're in January, I wouldn't mind if analogous to, but not identical to, what the Fed did to banks in terms of a stress test. So I wouldn't mind, we'll come back to you in January, I wouldn't mind just a couple of mock-up scenarios on, you know, if this revenue went down by that, or if this expenditure would, just a couple of different scenarios so we could wrap our head around thinking about the risk.
Great.
Yeah, I don't want to be obsessive about it. I don't think anybody needs a lot of details, but I don't think it's a bad planning exercise.
For sure.
We'll do that in January. We're through it all. Any comments or questions from the board, or are we good? All right. Motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Yep. Trustee Leafblad?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Lawrence?
Aye.
Trustee Lawler?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Dodge?
Aye. All right.